Hello. Hey, Autistic Shill. How are you doing? Geneva isn't quite here yet, so I'm just gonna start the live without keeping you guys waiting. Now, Autistic Shill, did you say that you had watched this trial yet? I'm glad you're good. Oh, there's Geneva. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I was so glued to this trial today, so I have already seen today's testimony, but oh my gosh, it was off the rails.
It was. I like, really sorry, I have a cold, so sorry for sounding like crap and coughing.
Oh, I'm sorry you're sick. I knew
Uh,
you said you mentioned cold medicine yesterday, so
yeah,
I kind of.
yeah. No, it was like yesterday, it was annoying. Today, it's, yeah,
Oh, you do sound really stuffed up.
yeah. Um, yeah, like I skipped around with the testimony. I mean, I watched most of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, dang,
Yeah.
dang, that whole acquittal, that whole request for the acquittal, dude, you're dumb.
Yeah, he is. And we're gonna watch that because
Like, the
I
judge
don't
is already yelling, I mean, not yelling at him, but the judge is already reprimanding you, and now you're gonna try to get an acquittal?
well, to be fair, he has to do it before he presents his side. But the way that he went about some of the things that he said, it's like really like there was I mean, I don't see how he thought there was absolutely no evidence.
Right.
Hey, MW.
Hey,
Yeah, I know
MW.
you love your reality shows.
Yeah, me too, though. I get it. I don't watch Big Brother, but I get it. Housewives,
Yeah,
like the low
I don't
deck.
think I've ever watched Big Brother, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't either.
And I haven't watched Housewives since, oh God, it's been years. It's been a long, long time.
The only ones I watch anymore are like OC, Beverly Hills, and Salt Lake City. Like, I haven't watched the other ones in
I
a
only
really
watched OC, and that was back when, what's her name? Is it Tanya Tamara? Tamara.
long. Mm-hmm. Tamara.
She Yeah, what that lady.
Yeah,
She was still married to that,
Simon. Yeah,
like,
the jerk Simon.
I don't really even remember if he was a jerk or not, but that's how long it's been since I've
He was a
watched.
jerk. Yeah, he was a jerk.
But
Yeah, that's I mean, that's going back early
yeah,
seasons
yeah, that was a long time
with
ago.
Jesus Jugs.
What's that?
I said with Jesus Jugs,
Yeah,
who's now
yeah.
back. Alexis Bolino. Tamara used to call her
I'm trying
Jesus
to think
Jugs.
of when that was. That might have been like what? Was that early?
It was pretty early on. Like,
Is that like early? I don't want to say. No,
it's
I
been,
can't even tell you because I can't even think
yeah,
of where I was when I used to
it
watch
would
it.
have been at least 15 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say 12, but even that
Yeah,
seemed too soon.
yeah.
But
No, it's crazy.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I watch. So I watch. I mean, I watch. I'm a reality TV junkie, but not as bad. Like, I mean, I watch Vanderpump and what's like a just like the Housewives kind of spin-offy. Below
Hmm.
Deck, which isn't a spin-off, but I love Below Deck.
Yeah.
Just that kind of trash.
This this trial, it's kind of surprised me because I didn't see much like coverage of it until it became like a live trial. And
Right.
then it just became really saturated. And I tend to gravitate towards cases that are not overly saturated. So I don't know, I kind of got turned off on even playing it, to be honest, because I although I know that people like to follow the trends when it comes to that kind of thing, I'm hey sassy nerd girl. And Susie Q, hello. I'm kind of the opposite when it comes to chasing those kind of things.
Yeah. But this one's fascinating. I mean, I will say it's like I had not heard anything about it until like you had mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Like
Yeah.
I had my head in the sand about it. I had no idea anything. And now it's like, yeah, I'm pretty attached to at least watching it because I don't know. I think more than
I'm
anything because it's kind of I mean, yeah, it's a serious case, but more than anything just because it's a shit show.
yeah. It wouldn't be as um like such a circus if it wasn't for her attorney.
Mhm.
But I'm really curious what they're gonna have to present
Yeah.
because he's really going with the self-defense claim.
Yeah.
And
And there's nothing to back it up, really.
I mean, I don't know what they're gonna have. I mean, they've got text messages where
Yeah.
um I mean there's a text message that he punched the dog, but at the same time, like they had the analyst today, and we'll play it. And I feel like their communications prior to his murder um, kind of goes against this whole self-defense thing. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what you guys think. So I guess
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that I mean, I'm sure we'll never really know, obviously, but
mhm.
there's just a lot
And
of things that go against it. And one of the things that I really don't, I mean, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm like watching her and she just seems so like almost blasé about the whole thing. Like she's just sitting there. She's not really looking at anybody. She does this rapid blinking thing all the time, which I
yeah.
drives me crazy. It's like that's something people do usually when they're dishonest. Like they sit there and blink, 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 blink like crazy.
Mhm. Now, I don't know if you guys want to hear it, but apparently yesterday was it yesterday? Um, no, Eva testified on Tuesday
Yeah, she
because that was the
testified on
first day
Tuesday.
of trial. But the trial today started out with the judge. Hey, Shauna. No worries. Everybody's listening to Big Brother or Housewives. It seems it's okay. No worries. Um, it started off with apparently his bailiff. Well, we've learned that it was his bailiff, the one that is right next to him. Um, told the judge that they saw someone came up to him and basically said that they saw Eva giving an interview to a news reporter.
Mm,
Did you miss that part?
I did. That's a big no-no
Yeah,
because he
but
flat out instructed her like she wasn't
right.
released from the subpoena, and he flat out instructed her like you do not like basically said you're sequestered. You're not allowed to.
Well, they brought her in because they said that the judge said it's hearsay upon hearsay upon hearsay. So I
Mhm.
don't really know. I've not seen this interview. And so they brought her in and put her back on the stand.
Okay.
And um, we can watch that if you want to. And
Yeah, I missed the whole I
did
missed
you?
the whole
Okay.
beginning of it, and then
I felt
what
bad for her. I really felt bad for her because I never saw her in the courtroom again the rest of the day after this.
right. Well, they told her she wasn't allowed to be. He told her when he was giving her instructions, he said that she's not allowed to be in the courtroom.
Um, did he?
Yeah,
Did
he
he?
did. When he gave her instructions yesterday, yeah, he said that she's not allowed to be in the courtroom to see others. She's not allowed to discuss it. She's not allowed to be in the
No,
courtroom. Like,
under Marcy's law though, she can be in the courtroom because she's a direct um next of kin for him
but I
of a
think as a
victim.
witness, because she's still under subpoena, she's not
Yeah,
released.
but it applies differently because she's next to kin.
Okay. I could have sworn through, but yeah. But the
Yeah,
other piece
no,
that I
typically
missed,
that would be applicable
right.
if if she wasn't a like next of kin to the victim.
Right.
But if
Right.
she was not his daughter, she would absolutely not be able to be in there.
Right. But what were they talking about? Like with, they were saying somebody perjured themselves.
He is talking about the attorney, Doug's former attorney.
Oh, that lady, what was her name? Murphy or
Stephanie Murphy.
yeah, her.
Yeah,
She perjured herself.
that's what he's claiming.
Oh,
Well, that's what the
so it
defense
wasn't
attorney's claiming.
right. So it
He
wasn't. We don't know if she really did. He's just.
and he wants to use the therapist that she lived in to impeach her.
I don't know how that's gonna work, but okay.
Yeah.
That
So,
therapist is weird as hell.
mm-hmm.
Like she is a really weird lady.
Trying to see. Let me go to the see where the start is here. Let me get to
She
it.
really reminds me. I can't say that. That's horrible.
I
She kind of
probably know where
reminds.
you're going to go with it, but don't do it. I have a feeling. Oh, is
Uh,
it?
say who she reminds me of?
Oh, go ahead.
Home Depot Jen.
Really?
Yeah, because Home Depot Jen was a therapist too. She has a good degree in psychology, and
Oh,
she's
interesting.
just kind of really weird and
Mm-hmm.
awkward, and I don't know. She really and just dingy. She kind of reminds me of that.
Oh, hell no, we're not doing this.
And she, yeah.
Um, 1 second here.
And the defense attorney really reminds me of Tom Girardi.
Yeah, that's what you said. There we go. I had it like paused and okay. Let me share my screen. Man, it's only 5:30 on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, we've had some thunderstorms, no rain, which is the odd, like it's weird. It's like dry thunderstorms.
No, that is weird.
Yeah, so I kind of have a chicken somewhere in this house.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I'll start playing this if it's, how loud is this? I don't think I adjusted it. Okay. If it's too loud or anything, I think I still have it at 1.5 as well.
Well, you continue to test that.
It's starting off to where you can
All right,
see
State, well, you
the,
continue to test that. Good morning, everybody. We're back on the record in State versus Ashley Benefield, 2020 CF 3014. Present is Ms. O'Donnell, Ms. Field. Present is Mr. Taylor and Ms. Benefield. A couple of matters before we get started. Yesterday, I had brought up that an anonymous reporter had come up to the 9th floor and spoken with the deputy who's there at the desk with some sort of information. This morning, 5 minutes ago, I was provided a letter from a law firm in West Palm Beach dated yesterday. It says that it was sent to the state and the defense. Did you each get a copy? State?
yes. That's loud enough for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I don't have those responses.
He just said, thank you for sending it. I said I didn't get an attachment and realized I was looking at the wrong email.
I thanked him. I told him it was worthy of calling it to the court's attention and that I was confident Your Honor would properly conduct the hearing as a result.
That's what I'm doing. Do you want to be heard on this, state?
No.
Defense? Do you want to be heard on this?
Yes. I'd like
If it's too fast or something, let me know.
I don't know what the lawyer said, whether or not the potential juror heard it. I have every confidence the court can do it delicately and first find out which juror, if any, was exposed to that, and then find out if they heard anything that had any impact at all on their perception of the case, and that was extrajudicial in the sense that it was a reference to something that had not been introduced in the court.
All jurors or just male jurors?
Judge, I would suggest respectfully all the jurors, and I think...
Even though the letter says it was a male juror?
Yes, because that's what this anonymous source said. But I think to be safe, to the extent there was some jurors in this location, there's limited places to go for lunch around there, Judge, so I think there's potential that there could have been other jurors there as well. And rather than run the risk of not knowing, I think a simple inquiry by Your Honor would put that to rest.
State.
And Judge, I would just recommend that
Let me see if I can go. I forgot he did the juror thing. I want to get to where he talks about.
So, court likes, I'll be happy to call him and we'll have a brief hearing.
So
It's up
was
to
that
you.
what he was
All right, you
talking
call
about though? Was
he
that
wants
a juror saw it?
brought in every single juror.
So it was
He's
the juror who saw it. Who saw
no,
her
he
talking.
had like always. He has multiple issues every single day.
Oh,
So
okay.
he had issues with a potential juror, and then
What did the
with
jurors allegedly do?
was like in a restaurant or something. I don't know. I skipped past all his BS because
It's BS.
none of the jurors heard anything. He pulled all of them individually by themselves.
Mm.
I
He
get
was
so tired of
probably
this.
he was
Lawyer.
probably the anonymous source. He probably wrote the
Well-
letter himself.
Yeah, there were like multiple things this guy has. So
Always. Yeah.
Ms. Benefield back in.
Nope.
Let's do something that happened.
hold on. There's no transcript for this.
Purposes.
All right, you understand that Faith Brown may be called as a witness?
Yes.
All right. I wasn't going to get too involved in the Richardson hearing yet. It needs to be done, obviously, and I've got a note for that. All right, so on the Eva Benefield potential interview with someone at News Channel 8, you're not asking for any relief.
No.
I don't know what relief you're going to ask for, but if you're asking for some relief, I'll let you get started.
Well, the relief I would ask for initially is that she obviously be barred from being called as a rebuttal witness potentially. Secondarily, to the extent the court admonished her about doing exactly that, which she did, I've observed thus far the court's general admonishment that it gives to witnesses. I'm assuming that Field received it as well. Is she in the courtroom, by the way? Ms. Benefield?
Here she is, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to have her step out.
All right, ma'am, if you please remove yourself from the courtroom.
That's shady.
Huh?
So that's shady. Why would he shouldn't she have the right to hear what he's gonna say about her?
I ended up going and looking for these TikToks. I saw them,
Yeah.
but
This is a young girl who lost a father. I'm not looking to hurt her, but given her disregard of the court's admonition, I think precluding her from being called as a rebuttal witness at a minimum would be appropriate. Whether or not the court feels any further sanctions are appropriate as a result of her disregard of the court's warning, I defer to you.
Did you want to be heard at all?
Judge, I would just dispute that she violated exactly the court's order. And if she does testify, she will testify consistently with what she has already testified to in a deposition. So counsel will know if that changes, but we know what she's going to say because she said things already in the deposition. So I don't think any potential harm has come from that.
Rebuttal? All right. Whenever we talk about having a hearing, my assumption at the beginning of that was that it was going to be evidentiary and people were going to call witnesses and present evidence. Here's what the court knows. Someone told a court deputy that they observed Eva Benefield giving an interview to News Channel 8 reporter in the hallway outside of courtroom A after court had concluded for the day. At this point, I have no facts or evidence before me. I've got hearsay within hearsay as to something that happened.
Judge.
Yeah, so I don't.
I'll call.
Well, I gave you that opportunity. That's what I'm saying is that if everybody wanted a hearing, then
All right, well, I took it for granted that the court would.
I'm not going to assume this is true.
Yeah. So, court likes, I'll be happy to call him and we'll have a brief hearing.
It's up to you. All right, can you call Miss Benefield back in?
he's so ridiculous. Oh, well, I thought you'd do this, so now you're not. So I
Right?
State, just looking at the list, you have 3 witnesses left?
Yes.
All right. Do we expect to finish today with the state's case? Come on in, man.
Is this speed too fast, too slow?
What's the matter?
I don't think
It's made for me. I don't know about anything else.
As I said, it was reported to me that some unidentified person told the deputy.
So, give me just one moment.
Are you the one that they told? Yeah. Okay, right here. Mr. Taylor.
Got it.
Apparently it was reported to Deputy Racky.
To have a moment with the deputy.
Of course, State, you want to be present?
Step into our office.
Poor girl, she's probably terrified. She has no idea what the hell's going on.
Exactly.
Ms. Benefield, I'll remind you that you were under oath. You can get a little bit closer to that microphone and just answer the questions in a loud, clear voice.
Good morning.
You appeared yesterday and testified before Judge White in this case, did you not?
I appeared on Tuesday and testified.
Tuesday. Time flies. At the end of your testimony, do you recall Judge White instructing you about having contact with anyone because you were to remain under subpoena? Do you recall that?
I recall.
Okay. And you were here today because the state requested that you remain as a potential rebuttal witness.
Correct.
Now, what did you think Judge White's directions to you meant?
Well, I was told I wasn't allowed to speak on any of the witnesses in my testimony while in the courtroom.
So, I'm sorry, did you finish?
I'm finished.
All right. Did you realize that when you decided to have a conversation with the reporter?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell us if you would. I'm just trying to get an explanation. Tell us if you would what you were thinking that
Objection.
Overruled.
That's not what she said.
what you were thinking that you felt allowed you to do exactly that which Judge White cautioned you not to.
I was caught off guard in the hallway when I was under extreme emotional distress after being here, hearing different testimonies about my father's murder. And when I spoke to the reporter, I made sure not to talk about any of the testimonies or anything that happened in the courtroom or my testimony.
What did you discuss with the reporter?
Just how I felt about the situation and who my dad's character was as I saw him.
When you say about the situation, you mean about the case, the trial?
Not about the trial.
What situation were you referring to?
My emotional state.
Okay. You post on social media,
I do.
TikTok,
Yes.
any others?
No.
Following your testimony here last Tuesday, did you make any posts?
I did.
Tell us how many?
3.
3. And tell us one at a time. Were all 3 of them on Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening?
1 was on Tuesday.
And when were the other 2?
Yesterday.
Okay. And tell us as to the first post, what was it about?
I said that I testified.
Okay. And did you have anything to say about your testifying?
I talked about it being on live television,
What else?
that somebody back home was watching.
I assume you have copies on your phone?
I do.
You have your phone with you here today?
I do not. Not on me.
Where is it?
It's over in the benches.
In the bushes?
In the benches.
In the benches here in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
With the court's
In the
permission, may she
benches.
retrieve it so we can see exactly what it was that she posted?
It's so invasive.
I know.
Well, I don't know.
She's very-
Not if it's on
I'm
social
a
media,
collector,
but we
though,
started
though.
off talking
I'll say
about just
that.
speaking with some reporter, and now we're talking about a social media post. If you've seen it, and if she's violating the rules, let's just get it out.
Okay. I'm trying to find that out.
So so now it's a fishing expedition. If you know a violation, let's talk about it. If not, let's just get moving. We got jury waiting.
I understand that, Judge. How do I know? Like, she's told us she posted 3 things.
Judge
How do
had
I
it.
know what it's about? What if one of them involved discussions that were inappropriate? How am I to know that? I've been a little preoccupied, and I don't do social media.
Sir, if you have specific evidence, let's
Well,
talk
if you
about it.
don't use
not,
social
you have a
media,
team.
then why are you
You've
even
got
talking
one,
about
Mr.
it?
1, 2,
Get
3
somebody
people
else
in
to
court
talk
right
about
behind
it who
you.
does do
I
social
don't know. Maybe they
media.
can look it up, but let's focus on what we know about as opposed to digging into speculation.
I have no further questions.
No questions.
I would be, I would not believe if this defense attorney had no idea about any of this before he walked up to that podium.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. I mean, it sounds
And
like this wasn't even this happened yesterday or the day before.
I mean, he went right to like the social media like
Right.
he knows she posts on TikTok,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, he asked her like 3 questions about the reporter and then immediately moved on to this.
Yeah.
Ms. Benefield, when you had this conversation with the reporter in the hallway, were there any other witnesses around?
Yes. I'm sorry, let me re-answer that question. None that testified. I think.
Okay, so you're saying there were people standing around,
There were people
but
around.
none of the witnesses in this case?
No, sir. Not that I remember.
Did you talk specifically about the questions that were asked of you or the testimony you've given?
No, sir.
All right. Do you have any follow-up questions to my questions?
No, sir.
Do you have any follow-up questions to my questions? All right, Ms. Benefield, you can step back out. Did you want to call any other witnesses?
No, sir.
State?
No, so.
All right. All right, Ms. Benefield's out of the courtroom. Go ahead, sir. Do you have any argument? Do you want to seek any relief? Do you want to argue in support of any relief?
I think she violated the court's admonition that the court routinely gives to the witnesses, and as a result, again, I have no personal interest in seeing the young woman suffer, but I do think violation of the court's admonition is sufficient to strike her as a potential rebuttal witness.
Judge, I think you asked her the relevant questions. I think the questions you asked her are the admonitions that you gave her as a witness, and she did not break any of those.
Final thoughts? I'm certainly distressed that, let me say first, the media policy for the 12th Circuit prohibits the media from conducting interviews inside of the courthouse. It is my understanding that our media and public relations person met this morning, or was going to meet this morning with the media to go over the administrative order again, because certainly I think the media is and should be aware of that administrative order and comply with it. The specific incident that we're talking about after hours yesterday, the facts that are in front of me are not that Ms. Benefield spoke about her testimony or the questions asked. But I also have not heard from the reporter, and I have not seen any tape or footage. At this point, I'm going to reserve on the request, and I'll make a decision. If and when she's called again, I'll make a decision at that point. You just have to remind me if we get there.
I'm satisfied, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, next.
Oh, but he's not done.
Deputy, if you just start, I don't care about the order, just start bringing in the
Wait,
jurors one at a
there's
time,
more.
please.
Judges, Ms. Beck, allowed back and forth. And Mark as well.
Yes, yes, but I'm going to give her an admonition.
Okay.
And just,
Hold it.
if you tell him to just hold up for a second, she can come back in. At this point, I'm reserving on whether she can be recalled or not, but I think an admonition at this point is appropriate. Yes, Ms. Benefield can come in.
This court will allow her to sit in for further testimony, knowing that she may be recalled. And the rule has been invoked.
Yes, under Marcy's. Sorry. No, hold on.
He's really bugged she's in there.
All right, Ms. Benefield, you can stop right there. Ma'am, the court has ruled at this point that I'm reserving ruling on whether you're going to be allowed to be recalled as a witness or not in this case. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I'll make that ruling down the road. But I want to admonish you about the instructions that I've given
She
and
looks like she's going to cry.
the importance of those. They matter and they need to be
Yeah.
followed. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am, you can retake your seat. All right. No.
It's sad because I never saw her come back in.
That's too bad.
So let me go back to,
Wasn't today also the day though when they were showing like all the autopsy photos and stuff?
the what?
The autopsy photos?
Yeah.
That was that yesterday. So maybe she didn't want to be there for that.
Trying to see. So, we've got the text messages and then the Emmy, the firearms. I mean, it does look like she tried to fire more, but it jammed.
She tried to fire more and it jammed. Oh, that's
Mhm.
right. That's right. That's, yeah.
They'll have the owner's information, so it's pretty easily identify who that phone belongs to, especially with iPhones.
Okay, and the one phone, I'm not sure if it's 11 or 12, but you said was Doug's phone.
12.
12. Did that have identifying information?
Yes.
Okay. That identified it as Doug's phone?
Correct.
And then for Ashley's phone, same question?
Yes.
Okay. Did you prepare a spreadsheet for this case?
I did.
And what is on the spreadsheet?
It was communication between Ashley and Doug extracted from Ashley's phone from September 20th of 2020 until September 27th of 2020.
Okay. And when you say communication, what do you mean?
In that particular report, it was mainly text messaging back and forth. There were
You know what? Did you write or do you remember by chance when the detective, when she was trying to get that injunction, get him arrested for that?
Yeah.
Do you remember when the date was?
Wasn't
Still
that the
don't.
27th of September?
Well, he was killed that day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember. I thought it was just like a few days before, but I could be wrong.
Because I
Well, no, it had to have been longer ago than that because
they
it
were
was
supposed to
before.
have court that following Wednesday, which was
Right.
the 30th.
Right.
But I think because she wanted him arrested at court.
Right.
But I don't remember because these text messages will lead right up until the day that he was killed.
Right.
And so when you listen to the detective's testimony yesterday that we talked about last night, it just is vastly different to me than how she portrayed herself on the phone to the detective.
Right.
a
Right.
few phone calls and I
Yeah.
want to say at least one email, but mostly text messages.
Okay. And did you said you prepared the spreadsheet from Ashley's phone. Did you also look at the information from Doug's phone to compare that information was on his phone as well?
Yes.
Okay. And was it?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 98. You can tell me if you recognize that.
I do.
And what is it?
This is the CD containing the Excel spreadsheet that we just talked about.
Okay. And when you said there's communications between the two, if there were any attachments to those communications, would they also be in your spreadsheet?
Yes, they would. Yes.
Okay. And you've looked at this?
Yes.
And is it accurate based on the spreadsheet that you created?
Yes.
State Management Evidence States 98.
Any objection to State's Exhibit 98?
No.
Received?
So I'm going to publish the spreadsheet now. If we could turn down the lights and potentially, it's a little difficult to read, potentially shut the blinds. Okay, so I know this is very small, at least from where I'm sitting. I don't know if I have handed you an exact copy, a hard copy, so I don't know what is easier for you to read. I know that print is very small as well.
Sorry, Mr. Duncan. You put it for just-
Sure.
Oh, come on. There's sidebars and stuff. Kill me.
Yeah, I know. There are so many sidebars and they take forever.
Are you going to read from the one in front of you or the one behind you?
I'm going to attempt to read the one in front.
Okay, because I can try and make this a little bigger once we get through what we're looking at. So I have a laser pointer for you. These attachments that are on the phone or on the spreadsheet. Are you able to tell when you look at one of these attachments where that image or picture or video came from?
It depends on each attachment. There could be metadata there that the attachment could have been from a screenshot. It could have been from the actual phone, taken with the actual phone. So it's just, again, case by case basis.
Okay, so there is a video on this phone that, and I just want to draw your attention to it, that shows some people at a restaurant. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I'm not, no.
Let me, hold on one moment and I'll let you know which one it is. It's line number 25 on your spreadsheet.
Is that someone's phone ringing in court?
Can you tell from what you're looking
What it
at
sounded
where
like.
that video came from? Or do you recall from your investigation before where that video came from?
And based on what I'm looking at, it's an attachment from a text message from Doug Benefield to Miss Benefield.
Okay. And when you looked at Doug Benefield's phone, could you tell whether this movie was taken on his phone or sent to his phone?
I don't have a recollection of the actual metadata of the video itself
Okay.
on either phone. This is just looking at it from the attachment perspective, not the specific video itself.
Okay. If we could approach, Judge.
Oh, God.
Okay. So let me hook this back up. And let's talk about what we're looking at first, and then I can try and make this a little bigger so people can see it. All right, so the first column just has the number of the injury, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and the second column is what?
It's just the type of entry it is.
And give me a couple of examples of the type of entry that it is into the phone.
In this timeline, it's labeled as an instant message. If it was a phone call, you would see phone call. If it was an email, you would see email.
Okay, and what does instant message mean? Is that a text?
It's a text.
Okay. And then the third column is what?
It's the direction of that transaction, and specifically dealing with messages, whether it's incoming or outgoing.
Okay, so that would be incoming or outgoing from Ashley Benefield's phone.
Correct.
All right, and then the next column?
It's whether or not that data transaction has an attachment.
Okay, and then the next column?
It's the date.
And the next?
It says time, but it also has the date and the time in the correct time code and time zone.
Okay, you said correct time zone. Can you explain that real quick?
So if you see UTC -4, UTC is what's considered standard time for world clocks. The time where the prime meridian is in the world, you subtract from that and you come up with a time code or the time zone that you're in. We're currently in -4. We're technically -5, but because daylight savings times, we actually subtract -4.
Okay, so does your software do that automatically?
Yes.
Okay, so when it says, at the first line, it says 8:20.02, and that says UTC -4, that is the current Florida Bradenton time?
Correct.
Okay, and then the next
Makes me
column.
laugh
And I made
how
it bigger
we
on the
have to
screen if it's
explain
easier for you to
such
see.
I can see it fine here.
Right.
normal
You have to explain
things.
UTC to
The
people,
parting is
like,
Yeah.
the people that are
people
part of
not
the
learn
actual
about
message.
time zones anymore.
And are these the labels, the names that are entered into Ashley Benefield's phone?
Correct.
Okay. And the next column?
The description, well, in this case, the first one is blank, but ultimately it will have the body of a text message. Sometimes it'll be empty depending on the nature of it, but that's where the body of the text message would be.
Okay, so the next column.
The source is just the software's way of saying if it was a native message or if it was taken with a third-party application.
Okay, and the next column.
The attachment is the actual file itself and the file name.
And then the last column.
The source file information has a lot of metadata where that file actually exists and the file paths and the size. And if you look at the table, all this information comes from databases and it explains where or what table the database that this message or this data lies.
Okay, so let me move it back over. So after we get through this explanation, we'll move much faster, but the first message is what? If you could just explain to us what that is.
Item number 1 is listed as a message. It's an incoming message with an attachment, and it appears there's no body to it. In other words, there's no actually text string. It's just the actual attachment itself.
And who is it from and who is it to?
It's from Doug to. I'm just going to say the name that's on the actual.
That's fine.
It says Ashley Christina.
Okay. And is this the attachment?
Yes.
Okay, and if you could just read for the record what that says.
It says, am I now trying to win the favor and approval of men or of God, or am I seeking to please someone? If I were still trying to be popular with men, I would not be a bondservant of Christ.
Okay. And then the next message is what?
Number 2 appears to be an outgoing message. It's from Ashley Christina to Doug Benefield.
And how much later than the first message is that?
About 2 hours, it appears.
Okay, and so from Ashley to Doug, and what is it?
The description says love an image.
Okay, so she loved the image from before.
Correct. That's more of an action than actual writing something out.
Okay, she didn't type loved image.
No.
The phone is saying that she hit some button.
Correct.
To love the image. All right. And then the next message is from right about the same time, and that says what?
Everybody's
Same
so
time, that says
tan
good
there.
morning.
This whole
There's another
trial.
little icon after it, but it just
I
didn't
mean, it is
come on here.
Florida, but
And then if you could just continue to read.
The next message, number
Right,
4.
the next
Okay.
message. If you could just say what time,
Okay.
to and from, and what the message is.
So the next message sent around the same time, 10:36 a.m. It's from Doug to Ashley Christina. It says good morning with a few emojis. And the next message after that, there appears to be an attachment, and that's at 11:43 from Doug to Ashley Christina.
And what is the message right after that? Oh, I just went too far. Right after the attachment, I'm sorry.
Right after the attachment?
Yes.
It would be number 6. It's a message at 9:20, 11:43 from Doug to Ashley, and it says "Run, baby, run" with a few emojis.
Okay. And so now I'll just play the attachment.
That's sad.
Okay. So Doug says "Run, baby, run" to Ashley, and then what does she do?
That would be number 7. It's a instant message right after. It's at 12:16, and it just says "laughed at a movie."
Okay. And if you can just keep reading.
Number 8 would be an outgoing message. It's from Ashley to Doug. It's on the same date at 12:16 p.m. It's just a few emojis. They appear to be laughing emojis.
And you don't have to mention the times right now until it switches a large time span. So go ahead.
The next would be an incoming message from Doug to Ashley asking "ready to rock and roll." The next is from Ashley to Doug, "Give me a few LOL, trying to round up the cats. It's like trying to teach a ballet to squirrels." The next is an incoming message from Doug to Ashley, says "ha" with exclamation points. The next is,
And we've established that it's all either from Doug to Ashley or Ashley to Doug.
Correct.
So if you can just say who's speaking and then the message from this point.
number 12 from Doug. He says, "That's funny." After that, it's from Doug. It says he's liked "give me a few." It's basically liking a previous text message, and it just repeats.
Okay.
The next is an outgoing from Ashley. It says, "OMG, I'm exhausted, LOL." The next is also from Ashley, "You can come over now."
Now, I didn't ask you about the color coding on this, but what do the colors mean?
It was just to make it easier to read which one was outgoing, and on all the outgoings, which is Ashley's phone, are Ashley's phone, and the incoming is the other color.
And so the outgoings are what color?
The outgoings are the blue-gray.
Okay. Or
I'm sorry, blue-gray. The outgoing is the orange.
the orange. Okay. So if Ashley's speaking, it's orange. If Doug's speaking, it's gray.
Correct.
Okay. So I believe we ended at OMG, I'm exhausted, LOL. Go ahead.
I believe I had stated the outgoing message, "You can come over now." Number 16 from Doug, "Hot, need to video the rodeo. Okay, headed that way." From Ashley, she responds, she liked what he had said earlier and just repeats. Incoming from Doug, "I'm walking around to back." The response, "I could let you in the front," or which, and then adds to that whichever. He responds, "Okay, front good." She responds with a thumbs up. He responds, "Me and excess boxes arrived." She responds, "LOL." He responds with a message that includes an attachment without a body. Then there's a call log, which is number 26. It's an outgoing call log to Doug for, I believe, 11 seconds.
Okay. And then let me scroll down on here. After the phone call, what happens? Oh, let me back up just a second. What time was that phone call?
Same date, 9/27/24 in the evening.
And then at 8:58 in the evening, that next entry, what is it?
It is a message from Doug. It says, "Good night, sweetie, theta waves," with a couple emojis. "I'll be done by 1 tomorrow and plan on joining the party." And then there's an outgoing, and then again, another action of just loving that previous text message. And then there was a response at 9:23 that says, "Good night," with a couple emojis. "How, you sure you want to come hang out with the slum?" ? And 9:23, he responds, "Yep, be smeshin' at the slummin'." 9:24, there was again an
think
action
that's what
of
they
laughed
call-
at the previous message.
Okay, so that was at 9:24 p.m. and it looks like the next
They call
entry is
what?
at 7:36 a.m.
Correct.
And what is that?
Haven't-
That is believed to be an attachment without a body. It's a
Did something just happen to the
JPEG
stream at all?
image.
And that came from Doug or
Like
to Doug?
my,
That was
did it just do anything
from
weird?
Doug.
And I'm going to display the attachment.
I think-
you don't have to read all of this. But
I don't
what
know
is
if it
this?
was
Just
the
another
video
Bible
or him or whatever glitched for a second,
Did it?
but it wasn't like, it was just a
So-
second. And I don't know if it was the guy talking. If you-
No, I think though I asked you that because I think like whatever this is going on outside, like all my lights and everything just like my computer, everything just flashed.
Oh, weird. Yeah, it was like just 1 second. Like it skipped over 2 words that he said.
Yeah, I I have earbuds in, so I didn't like hear the storm outside. Like it got like really dark, and then I just everything like all my lights and everything just flashed. I was like, what just happened?
I hate when that happens. It's like a surge. Good thing we
Yeah,
have surge protectors.
It was really weird, and I was like, oh my god, did it just like end the stream or what happened? So, okay.
No, it says we're still alive.
Yeah, that was weird.
That is weird.
After the Bible verse, what is the next thing that happens?
She appears that she loves the image and then responds with good morning. He responds back with good morning with several emojis, and hours later responds with or says headed that way in about 30 minutes.
So that's approximately 3 hours later. He says headed that way in about 30 minutes.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a response from Ashley that says, oh, hey, wow, you done for the day? Don't rush because of us. We're out for a walk now. Not in a rush to get started today, LOL. We'll have to round up the cats when we get home anyway. There's a response from Doug, oh, nice, a little breezy, which helps. Getting early start so can finish up early to come over and be with y'all and play W Emerson, typically shorthand for with Emerson, free y'all up some, just ping when good to head over. And Ashley responds with a like of that previous message, and then responds with will do, and also adds in a new text message, want to grab a can opener at Publix on your way over, question mark, LOL, I of course packed the one we had. He responds, ha, too funny, yep, yep, we'll get one. She responds, thank you, trying to get the cats, LOL. And after that, there's an incoming message, appears to be an attachment as well. And that was it.
Go ahead. Some of these attachments don't open on this computer. Can you explain kind of why that is?
I think that one of the previous videos that you had, sometimes it's a codec issue. The files are actually not necessarily embedded in the actual spreadsheet itself, but I can take this same file and bring it over to another computer, and it might open. It just depends. It depends on the computer how it's set up to open that particular file.
Okay.
Really?
So
Give
after
it the
the
fuck
attachment,
up.
Right.
slide this back over. Let's see. Let me try to open this. Okay, so this is one that will not
Hey,
open. So I
JJ.
slid it back over. If you could tell us again,
Hey,
starting
JJ.
at 46, I believe it is,
Well, after that attachment, it's 45,
or 45. Sorry.
and it's an incoming. It says from Doug.
JJ,
in
do
the
you
crazy
see
loop
William
at
right above
Gay,
you?
G-A-Y-E. And it's probably
I'm
misspelled because he
assuming
corrected
that's
himself and
William.
put
I don't know.
in the next message.
So,
There is
apparently
a
that's the
call
same
log, that has
picture
0
he's
seconds to
used
it
in the
at
past.
3:17, and then an
Oh, you
incoming
got it, Janine.
I got
I
it.
message
was
walking
trying to
around
click
back,
on this
and then-
in
So that
Streamlabs,
walking
and it
around
wasn't
back
letting me
is
do
approximately
anything.
what time?
3 o'clock in the afternoon, or
And then
3:21,
the next message
Yeah,
is
I just
approximately
went
what
in
time?
on my
9 o'clock at
phone.
night.
And that message is?
Good night.
In the chat.
And she just responds at 9:22 with good night and looks like a sleeping emoji.
And the next communication?
The next would be an incoming message from Doug to Ashley. Appears to be an attachment, some type of JPEG image.
And you don't have to read this, but what is it?
It's another Bible verse. Believe we're on, after that attachment, we're on 52.
Yes.
Autistic
is
Shill, is
incoming
this
message
speed or
From
volume
Doug, says
okay
good
for
morning with
you?
some emojis. Hope you slept okay. She responded at 9:28. Loved the image, or loved an image, and also an additional good morning. Doug then emphasized the good morning, just another action that he took on a previous message. And the next communication was at 11 o'clock a.m. with a wave emoji, looks like. And at 11:22, he responds again with how's morning. She responds with also a wave emoji at 11:26
Okay,
that says,
good.
the scramble to get all the loose ends tied up, LOL. He responds, no kidding, I'm done. Around 1, we'll head that way. Been going since like 3 a.m., LOL. She responds, OMG, 3, why is that? He responds, just to get work done so can pack. Love mornings, all quiet. She responds, okay then. He responds, Spark is best friend, LOL. She laughed, another action for that message. And another response from Doug, finished up here, yay, headed that way.
And what time was that?
That was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:17.
And then after that?
At 1:19, she says, go take your time, no rush in, not in a rush today. And at 1:20, a response, LOL, with an emoji, think we all are getting
LOLs,
pooped from
like,
the
oh my
efforts.
gosh.
She responds with liked a previous message and it just repeats. There's also a laughed at LOL, again laughing at a previous message. Then another message at 1:36 says, can you think of anything we need at Lowe's or anywhere? Then there's actual call log at 1:42 that lasts about 49 seconds. And that was from Doug to Ashley. And then at 3:30, there's a message from Doug, headed that way in a few minutes. I'd nothing need. And a message from Ashley, alrighty, we are just out for a walk, still can't think of anything needed at the moment. There's an action liked already, and the message repeats from a previous message. Doing front gate, I'm assuming circle, that's CIRCL, and a call log from Doug to Ashley with 0 seconds.
Front gate circle. Hold on. Now, it's got me thinking, was she in a Was she in a gated neighborhood, I wonder?
Could be. Is that why she was talking about letting him in the front or whatever?
I mean, so she was packing up all her shit. She lives in a gated community, I'm assuming. I mean, it's just sounding like it. And she's packing a 45.
Apparently.
And oh, let me show you something. Let me find it real quick. I'm going to show. I pulled up something. Here it is. Let me see. I went, so they must have this case sealed at the moment because of trial. At least I couldn't find it, but I do have a bunch of the stuff. But I have an evidence receipt. Let me get to the page. I'm going through 821 pages of this crap, but
Oh, geez. That's so much.
but what was interesting to me is what they logged. Here we go. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay. Because this is just a September 2023 log. Where's my, oh, here we go.
And that's a log of what? Evidence or whatever?
It was their chain of custody.
Okay.
Okay, so whoop, that might be too big. Maybe not. Let me get it. Okay, so this is what was filed in the court. So this is all state of Florida. But it like gave me kind of a inside view as to like what all they kind of collected and like what potentially prior to trial they would maybe use as evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But so we've got there's the photo of gun case, live round, gun and clip. And then there's the diagram of the home, photo of mattress up against wall, blood smear trail on floor, blood pool and dragging marks on floor with brown flip-flop, blood drag markers, photo marker 5 with casing on ground, a projectile on the wall, projectile hole in door jamb, projectile hole in wall with rod and hole, ruler with the projectile casing. But where is basket of bullet holes? Oh wait, we're here.
Basket of bullet holes?
It says St. Jude tablet, basket with bullet holes, and basket and wall.
Basket?
Well, I think it just it's a basket that has bullet holes in it.
Oh, got you. Okay.
And then it has
It's a basket full of bullet holes.
let's see, there's the photo of mattress on wall, inside closet with shoes on top rack, gun in black backpack, photo of inside pantry, gun inside case, inside basket, inside pantry. Like, how many guns
That's a lot of guns.
were all around this house?
Well, we know the mom was into the guns too because she said they took
Yeah.
classes together, concealed
Yep.
carry classes together.
Mm-hmm. And then it was photo of victim on floor with MSO and paramedic. Victim on floor, waist down in pool of blood. Victim chest down with pool of blood in between legs. Close-up of defendant's face, left side of defendant's face. And then it says tiny scratch on rib cage. And then where's the I'm
That could
working
have been,
off.
I mean, you know, one of the things about that though is that she was talking about having to round up the cats and saying how it was, like teaching girls how to do ballet or whatever. Like, who's to say whether the cats didn't scratch her when she was trying to corral them,
Well, also, I was thinking about this, like, from my understanding, and I'll see if I can find the picture because I have seen the picture of her scratch on her. It's like right kind of under her rib cage area.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, it looks like it's a healed wound.
Oh, like an
it's
old
not a
scratch.
yeah. But also, like, even if it was at the time of this incident, she
Yeah.
was like hauling ass to the neighbor's house. Like,
Right.
I don't know if I was running out of my bedroom. I'm clumsy as hell. I
Right.
easily could have hit something.
Right.
But and she's running out with a jammed gun too.
Right. Right.
But and then it says let's see. We've got are we on? I'm assuming they're saying tiny scratch on rib cage. I'm assuming that they're talking about the defendant. Yes, they're obviously still talking about it. They just didn't write it. Scratches on side hip, light blue sweatshirt, mark on skin, tiny scratch on rib, autopsy photo of victim. Oh God, that'd be horrible to see.
That's
Bruise
what
on
I'm
right.
saying. I think the daughter wasn't in the courtroom too, is because they were showing photos like that. And I think she didn't want to see them probably.
I would be surprised if she hasn't seen it already. I would be shocked.
So I think if it were my parent, I would go out of my way to not see that.
I know, but I just I
Kind of just to
feel
prepare
like
her.
she's a daughter that has been on a mission for answers,
Right.
and for as much as she's paid attention to the ins and the outs of this case, I would be shocked if one, she didn't have a file of this case, and I don't know who identified his body besides her.
Well, wouldn't Ashley? I mean, she was his wife.
I mean,
I would imagine like her identification would have been enough, but I don't know. Maybe not.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to believe that she has not seen it. And it's
Hasn't seen
sad,
it.
but
Yeah.
yeah. And sometimes when you try to avoid those things, it's like you end up seeing it,
Right.
even though
Right.
you don't want to.
Right. Well, and I would also imagine being a witness or whatever, they probably would have wanted her to be prepared for
Mm-hmm.
whatever may come up.
Yeah. And I hope that, the state offered some sort of victim assistance to her
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
therapy and things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like there's enough support given to victims of.
Well, especially like this. I mean, she's
Mhm.
young. It
She
was
had no mom at this
her
point,
only remaining parent and no siblings. And
no siblings, no. And it got me thinking, like, I'm sure she has absolutely zero relationship with her little half sister.
right, exactly.
And, maybe if Ashley gets locked up, maybe some sort of union can be
Right.
like, I don't know. It's sad,
It's really sad. No, I feel for the poor girl. Like she's been
because if
through a lot.
if Ashley goes to prison, she's looking at 25 to life,
Right.
and that little girl won't have her mom or her dad,
Right.
and it's
She'll
I
just
mean,
be raised by the grandma who seems a little cuckoo herself.
yeah, and I don't know. I think like a big sister would be good for her.
Right.
Let me see. Oh, let's see. I think that was all of it, but defendant, let's see. Certification of business records, affidavit of booking photo. Photo of bullet hole in his shirt, bullet hole in shirt, bullet hole in short. Okay. Scratches on right hip. 2 scratches on right hip. 2 scratches on right hip.
And this was her?
I mean, that's what it says. But I don't know. Photo of tiny scratch with scab. I don't remember any of that. But anyways, like the guns is the thing that I wanted to
Yeah, that's a lot
pull
of
this up
weapons.
for, because yeah, that's a lot. And like where was it? In the pantry.
Yeah,
It's not in the pantry
that's what
where
she
was
said. A
it?
basket in the pantry or something.
Gun inside case inside basket inside pantry.
Sheesh. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Stop sharing that.
And how long after he got there did she shoot him? It was pretty quick, right?
The last text message was at 5 something.
So he'd been
So
there for a couple hours because it said he was coming over at like 1, right? Isn't that when he said he was on his way or something?
yeah, I don't want to go forward, but it was like 5 something. I think it was like 5 something.
So he'd been there for a couple hours at least.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess the grandma plays at the park for a few hours, I guess. Now it
Seems
makes
like
me
a
want
long
to go
time for a
back.
toddler.
Makes me want to go back to the grandma's testimony and hear what time she said she left,
Yeah,
to see if it corresponds with these text messages.
right.
Because the grandma also said there wasn't a U-Haul in the driveway, and
Right. No, that grandma was backtracking a lot. Like she would say
pictures
something
show
and
there's
then
U-Haul.
yeah.
They actually
And
show
then
it in these text messages.
yeah, she said that it was pulling up right as she was leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. But then first she said no, it wasn't there. And then when they pressed her on it,
Mm-hmm.
like she seemed to do that a lot. Like when she got pressed on things, she would change her story real quick.
I was really hoping that Ashley would take the stand and defend herself. I mean, I think
She
she
might, but
should.
we
I
don't,
don't think she's going to.
yeah,
Um, it. I don't think she's going to, based off of how it went at the end of court today.
right.
So get
Yeah,
back to
no,
this.
it was not, defense was not having a good day today.
Mm-mm. I think we're zipping through this pretty fast though,
Yeah.
and it's still pretty early. Oh shit! I'm not even sharing my
What?
screen, am I?
No, you are not.
You're so nice. You're just not even saying anything. And I'm
I'm
just like,
like, no, I'm
"Doo-doo-doo."
just waiting. I was waiting. I'm like, oh, okay.
I didn't even notice until I looked over at a different screen. I was like, oh, whoops, that's funny. So I have Streamlabs on one and YouTube on another, and I was watching it, not even looking at Streamlabs.
That's funny.
It's a message from Ashley Christina to Doug. It says goodnight with an emoji. And then after that, Doug responds, "Good night, precious girls." And after that, Ashley, again, an action of loving that previous response. And the next several
where'd my dog
messages
go?
appear to be related to attachments.
Okay. So the next attachment I'll put up. Who were these attachments sent from?
These were from Doug to Ashley Christina.
And then in the middle of this, so it would be, I'm not getting the lines correct, but I think it's line 87 maybe, at 9:29:35.
9:29:35 is line 86.
Okay.
And that's another action of loving an image.
Okay. And there's one more attachment, I believe. Possibly one more after that. 2. So all of these attachments were sent from Doug's phone to Ashley's phone?
Correct.
Okay. And then there's a series of responses from Ashley. Can you tell me what those are?
It's the previous action that we've referenced where she physically takes it. It's not word that she's typing. It's just physically within the operating system of iOS. It allows you to take an action on an image. In this case, she loved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
6 images.
Okay. Let me get it back centered again. So after she loved the images, there's an entry where she types a message. What is that?
That's at 9:31 at night. She responds, "Oh, these are sweet, thank you." And he responds with an action that he loved the previous message, and then responds with y'all rock my world with a heart emoji. And she responds again with an action of loving that previous message, and with it's a very small emoji, hard to tell what it is after the action.
And then what's the next entry?
The next is an instant, it's a message with an attachment, and that's from Doug to Ashley at 6:47 in the morning.
I'm going to pull up the attachment. And again, what is that?
Appears to be another Bible verse.
And if you can continue.
So after, there's a message from Doug, it says good morning with emojis, and then also an additional message at 9:28 that says got an email from Stephanie after she talked to Faith. Since order to mediate, we'll meet for 1 hour tomorrow to stop court next week. You dismissed injunction. We sign joint stipulation to dismiss dissolutions and hold until Moreland signs. Order for report. As soon as she signs order, we file dismissal, and we're done. Looks like praying hands emoji and a heart. And then there's an additional message after that. And we have joint session with Dr. Q Friday to wrap up our adventure in Florida, FL, and leave with understanding of double knots and red-blue inversion.
Like that
After-
totally
Yeah.
seemed like
Yeah.
they were planning to drop all
Yeah.
of that.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah. It doesn't sound like she was definitely
scared of it.
fearing anything. Like he had this whole conversation with her about
Mm-hmm.
we're meeting so that we can drop this thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it doesn't sound
And
good for her.
no, not at all. And I just like they had the injunction in place, and obviously we're communicating, which I mean they weren't supposed to be doing in the first place.
Right.
But aside from that, it's the attorney. It seemed like Doug's attorney, anyways. It seemed like to me she was being truthful. If anything, it seems to me that Ashley wasn't necessarily forthcoming
Right.
when it came to what she told other people.
Right.
You know, like other people kind of had this belief that, you know, maybe he was doing this and this and this.
Right.
But I don't know if that was during their relationship or if it
Or even
was
like she had people, it sounds like she was potentially telling the people around her, like, oh yeah, we're splitting up, we're getting divorced, whatever, whatever, whatever. But then to his face and to the people in his circle or whatever, you know, she was singing a different tune.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in a way, it kind of almost makes it sound a little premeditated
Yeah.
in a way, you know,
Like,
like,
yeah.
you know, what is she doing? Like, she's over here telling everybody, like, oh no, it's over. You know,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I'm afraid of him. But then to his face and to the attorneys or whatever, it's a completely different story.
Right.
So, what was she trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
Like, what did she think was going to happen when they were all supposed to be leaving for Maryland in a few days?
Right. And
It's almost like
I
she never
just
planned on him going, you know? Like, it's what it kind of sounds like. Like, she never
now
really planned on him being there.
I heard during the course of this trial, and I kept meaning to look into it, and I keep forgetting. But I heard that she was already engaged
Oh my goodness.
before, like, all of this. And I don't know where the source this came from. I need to look into that. But like, what in the entire fuck?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
If she was already engaged, yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
Right?
see, this whole thing doesn't add up. Like, there's definitely pieces of the puzzle that are completely missing here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the more I hear, the more I feel like not only was she not scared or whatever, but almost like I said, I mean, like, almost there was a premeditation to it.
And also, is it true that she didn't put Doug's name on the birth certificate, but she put
Right,
her own grandfather's name on the birth
right,
certificate?
right.
Like, so many weird things keep popping up, and it's
Yeah,
I just I hate to run with that, but there's some
yeah.
really
There's weird stuff. And like the mom
yeah.
is really weird. I got a really weird vibe off of her. I don't
Yep.
like Ashley's vibe either. Like, I mean, I know
No, I do not.
you can't judge
Mm-mm.
guilt or innocence off of it, but given the fact that she just sits there so cold and not really looking at anybody and not reacting to anything, and it
The only
just
time that I've actually seen
seems weird.
her shed any sort of tears is when they played that 911 call. And that was like one tear. They
Yeah,
showed autopsy photos
yeah,
today.
and she didn't show. Yeah, I noticed
She
that.
didn't cry.
No, I noticed she closed her eyes a couple of times, but I was
Yeah.
like, "What is she?" At first, I was like, "Is she just like falling asleep?" Like, because that's kind of what it looked like. Like,
It
but I mean, she obviously wasn't. But even then, it wasn't like she was super. She didn't appear to come off as super traumatized or disturbed
like
by
I
that.
just
And like, that's your
even
husband. That's the father of your child, and you're
right.
just like,
And
"Eh,
you did that to him.
yeah,
I
exactly,
would have a really hard time not getting emotional seeing that.
right,
Like I took the life of someone else.
right."
But yeah.
And it sounds like she, from what the medical examiner was saying, like, he didn't even pass right away, like she potentially could have,
Yeah, he could have
rendered aid.
yeah,
He might have been able to survive if she had rendered aid
right.
instead of running out of the house and running over to a neighbor and sitting on his stoop for
Mhm.
however long she sat out
Yeah,
there
because
for.
I think they said the deputy that arrived first said it he got there in like 15 minutes. So I mean there was
Yeah.
a length of time.
Well, because the neighbor said, like, he heard a knocking on the door. He went and looked and didn't see anybody. And then he heard a knocking again and went back and looked, and that's when he saw her sitting on his stoop or whatever. And it's like, okay, if you go and bang on somebody's door and they don't answer the first time, you run to the next person's house. Like, you're not going to just take
Yeah.
a seat on their front porch and wait,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all a little
Something's
hard for
not
me to
right.
believe. Yeah, it's a little hard for me to believe. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the defense has to present.
Oh,
That
yeah.
would make any of this seem like it was actually a self-defense type of a situation.
He's quite the narrative spinner, so
He really is too.
I'll be curious to see how it turns out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he thinks there's no evidence. He thinks, oh yeah, it all points to domestic violence, and it's like, where's one thing that points to domestic violence? Like, even when she tried to get an injunction or whatever, the judge was like, nah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
so
Yeah, she filed multiple injunctions.
right. So if that's the case, you would think that there would be something that would, other than hearsay of somebody else saying, oh yeah, she told me or whatever.
Yeah.
No, the more this goes on, the more I'm not buying into it.
Yeah. Especially after today.
Yeah. No, today was pretty
I think the
definitive.
text and the Emmy were
yeah.
like
Well, and just like
completely
at the
sealed the deal.
angle that when he was showing, like the angle he
Yeah.
was shot at and everything, and the defense attorney kept saying, "Oh yeah, he was shot straight on from the front." But no, he wasn't. He was shot from the side, and that's what the ME kept saying. And then, did you see what the defense attorney did? He was like, "Oh yeah," like it was during the acquittal motion, but he was like, "Oh yeah, well, if you were running, you're going to look like this, and there's no way." And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, nobody runs completely hunched over like that. Like, it was the most ridiculous display that I have. I mean, that attorney is such a quack. He was like, oh yeah, when you're running, you look like this, but he was literally like hunched halfway, like he was sprinting. It was so weird. It's
Yeah.
like, nobody runs like that, dude.
He is very strange.
Nobody runs like that.
Yeah, he's very strange. So, okay, I'll keep playing it.
That there's an action by Ashley Christina that's a loved an image, and it continues with a good morning. And there's an emphasis by Doug of good morning. Ashley Christina responds, oh, okay, I'll reach out to Faith to follow up on all the above with a thumbs up. Doug takes an action and liking that previous image, and then says, and we're done. Again, praying hands emoji, and also responds, and all in first 10 days of Jewish New Year, LOL. It continues with an action of laughed at the previous message, and then at 9:57, Doug responds, you gotta laugh, September 18th was first date of Jewish New Year, 3 years to date of your Odyssey starting day of ballet launch, Rosh Hashanah, the first of the Jewish days of all. We can call our Odyssey the days of all, LOL. At 10:13, there's an incoming message, says from Doug, so perfect outside, looks like a sun emoji. Ashley responds with an action for those previous messages, which just repeats, and then writes, oh yay, we should do Selby today. He responds, oh yes, with multiple M's and yum. She responds with a few emojis. He emphasized the emojis, and then adds, Stephanie just sent Faith joint dismissal of everything except injunction, which Faith has to do, just one pager, and also responds, what time thinking Selby? Actually, Christina responds with the action of liking it, and then says, maybe 1:30ish, I'll text you when we're headed that way with a thumbs up. Doug responds, okay, I can come pick you up too. Then adds more time with my baby. Then adds mediation tomorrow by Zoom, 10:30, and be quick. Ashley responds with the action of liking that. Then added, sorry, just looking at my phone. You don't need to drive all the back to LWR to get us if you are already downtown. But if you want to, that's fine. Just let me know either way. Doug responds, I'm at apartment. Adds, so pretty, enjoying pool area, finally to work, LOL. The next message is an attachment with no body.
From Doug,
That is from Doug to Ashley Christina.
and I'll pull up the attachment. I don't know why I just closed that. Let me open it again. And what number were we on?
132, that was the attachment.
Thank you. So after the attachment, what's the next communication?
It's a message from Doug to Ashley Christina. I'll just head your way at 1:30. Ashley Christina responds, ha, nice, okay, just getting our things together now. Maybe head over in like 10 minutes, 10 MIN. Doug responds, okay. And then after that appears to be an email from Doug to Ashley.
Okay. And after that?
After that is incoming message from Doug. Do you want to get together tonight or in the morning before mediation and unify the instructions for Faith and Stephanie? Think we are going to need to keep involved until this is done or will drag out. She responds, ha, okay, thumbs up. He responds, thumbs up. Prefer tonight, maybe run over Pandera or in AM, question mark. And she responds, sure, can do Panera tonight.
Okay, so I want to back up a little bit. We were talking about the entry that was the email before that. Does it have the content of the email in this spreadsheet?
Appears there's quite a bit of metadata involved, but the actual content from what I'm looking at is not actually in there.
Okay, does it say any names associated with the metadata?
There's an email address of Stephanie Murphy. It's at murphylawsarasota.com. There's an email address related to Doug Benefield. And there's, I believe those are the two names that I see that are associated
Okay. So we left off at sure can do Panera tonight.
Yes. And it adds 8 question mark. She responds with a thumbs up. And that was at 7:27 p.m. And she responds with at 9:55 p.m. with a good night and a sleeping emoji. And he responds also with a good night with another emoji. He adds sweet dreams and then also sends an attachment.
So 24th,
Correction.
so
The
that's
Sweet Dreams was the last one at 9:56 p.m.
3 days
The
before.
attachment I just referenced was actually 7 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Okay, so the next day I'm clicking on that attachment. And what is that?
It looks up here, a Bible verse.
And what are the messages after that?
All right, so attachment. After that, there's a good morning with a few emojis. If you want, you can come over here for Zoom. And adds, we can grab bagel and CHI. It's 10 a.m. BT, by the way, BTW is for short. And then there's a
That's
phone
made me
call
laugh.
at 9 o'clock, 9:07 with no
Yeah,
seconds.
HI, you had to spell
There's
it.
Yeah.
a
I don't
151
think
that
he
says
knows
there's an
that's
incoming
what he's
message with
saying.
nobody. And then after that, there's an incoming
Angle and CHI.
message with an attachment. It appears to be related to connection to a Zoom meeting, possibly. And then
I'm going to click on that attachment to see if it will come up. It's one of those that will not come up, so go ahead.
the next after that appears to be an ID number and a password typically associated with Zoom meetings, and then a phone call with no seconds. And then 9:38 it continues where Ashley Christina loved an image, then liked the message. It's 10 a.m. by the way, and then added, "Ha, oh man, okay, thanks for the heads up." He responded by liking that, and then added, "Set up here if easier for you." And she responded, "That's okay. I guess I should brush my hair and change out my PJs. LOL. I think I can just do it from my phone." He responds, "LOL, you can." She liked LOL, you can, and then added quick and easy LOL.
And what was the time difference between the like of LOL you can and the quick and easy? Approximately.
About 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. And then what was the next entry after the quick and easy?
So it was another action by Doug for that quick and easy, and then added, "So nice to experience quick and easy. Finally, LOL." Then adds, "Smeshing good." Then adds, "P.S. You looked great for just rolling out of couch. LOL," and added an emoji.
It was
He added,
this
"I'm
moment
working
that
on
I
brief,
figured
head
out they
over
were talking
soon as
about
get to stopping
having
point
sex.
like 1. She responds with the action of loving
Yeah.
the previous message.
I've
or
never
one
heard
the
of
previous
it
messages,
called
so nice
that
to experience
before.
quick and easy. Laughed
Smashing?
at also the PJ, the PS, looking great.
No, they
comment.
keep calling it
And then
smeshing.
added, "Ha, thanks. Figured I should
smishing.
put a clean shirt
No, with the-
on even if I had
no,
PJs on."
SME.
The bottom added,
Hold on.
"Ha, thanks. Figured I PJ the previous
Smishing.
message. I
No.
won." He added,
Right
"I'm
there.
working
Oh,
on brief."
right there. Smeshing. That's how they spell
Weird.
it throughout all their text.
Weird.
He added, "I'm working on brief. Head over soon as get to stopping point like 1." She responds with the action of loving the previous message, or
What's the
one of the
date on
previous messages.
this?
"So nice to experience quick and easy."
So they're having
Laughed
sex
at also
days
the
before
PJ,
she killed
the
him.
PS, looking great comment. And then added, "Ha, thanks. Figured I should put a clean shirt on even if I had PJs on." The bottom half, LOL. She adds, "And okay, just let me know as you're finishing up." He adds, "Just to ponder while I finish up, thinking about getting all the cars up here, and I thought was to ship the Cherokee up there by transport, which is $900, and either tow my truck or tow to your Jetta. The U-Haul plus the car trailer is about $1,000. That's for the biggest truck, which gives us plenty of room. The option is another pod and tow one of the cars behind my truck. Overall, price about the same. U-Haul, more flexibility, like taking things straight to storage. She responds, okay, things to think about. Maybe best to have you drive the U-Haul and tow your truck behind. Mom and cats will go in the Jeep and I'll drive with Emerson in my car. She added, LOL, the Beverly Hill. He added, LOL, the Beverly Hillbillies, coming from dem slums. Forget about cat courier requirements, LOL. She laughed at the Beverly Hillbillies comment, added LOL, then added, I believe, several cat emojis. He laughed at the emojis, then added, headed over shortly, brain approaching short circuit. She added, okay, well, give me a bit longer, finishing up mom's closets now so I can get the cats locked up. He added, he liked the previous message, and then there's a outgoing phone call to Doug for 38 seconds. Outgoing message from Christina says, headed that way. He responds, or he took the action of liking it. Added, we done good, LOL. We have Dr. Q at 10:30. Good night, with an emoji.
Okay, so the liked headed that way was at what time?
That was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And then the good night was at what time?
It's at 8:27
Okay.
at night. Saw two of them, apologize.
And then after the good night?
After good night, there's an outgoing, indeed, LOL, good night, from Ashley. And then after that, there is an attachment at 5:45 in the morning from Doug.
Okay. And I'll click on the attachment. What is that?
Another Bible verse.
And the next entry?
Appears to be another attachment roughly 15 minutes later.
Okay. And if you could read what this says?
Live a life filled with love. Another Bible verse, Ephesians 5:2. At 9:26, there's a message from Doug that says, good morning. Minute later, there's an action of loving an image. Second, loving a minute image. And he responds with, Dr. Q's at 10:30. Do you want a CHI? Question mark.
I think that's chai.
Chop.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
At 9:27, there's a response from Christina that says, good morning. There's a repeated response, previous message, Dr. Q is at 10:30, do you want a chai? And then and bagel, he added to it. She responds, that's okay, thank you. If I do that this early in the day, I'll be done for the day, LOL, but thank you. He added, he liked that message. And then the next appears to be an attachment from Doug related to possibly a YouTube video. And that was at 9:56 a.m.
And it's another one that won't open. And then the next entry.
At 10:40, 35 a.m. From Doug, are you able to make Dr. Q okay? She responds, yes, LOL, be in a minute. He responds, no rush, he's still not out, LOL. She responds, I know, LOL, waiting for mom to come out so we can swap. There's a message without just a rectangular square there. And then after that, there's 10:42:35, there's an LOL from Doug. There's
Only 9 more minutes
phone call
of his
that's,
testimony.
Yeah,
and
the
it's
LOL was at
sped up.
10:42 a.m. And then what's the next entry?
Correct. 10:42 a.m. was the LOL. And then the next is at 5:39 p.m., which is a phone call from Doug. And with 0 seconds. Then adds after the phone call.
And then that's
here,
when they go into the acquittal.
and
hearing,
then
right?
another phone call for 15
No.
seconds.
Oh, no,
At
they
5:40.
No, the acquittal's
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Then
Your Honor, not to attack Sergeant Quiles because he's been reading for a while, but it's a little tough to follow. I wonder if he could.
Numbers maybe on you up.
that are here
It's over.
say
Right at the end,
Okay.
he
their
says it's
numbers
hard
are
to
an
follow.
actual
Like,
column.
what the fuck?
So technically, I can hear.
It's over. That?
Can you show him?
214. These numbers here match what he's saying. There's numbers on the Excel spreadsheet showing that's what was confusing. But the numbers he's saying are the numbers on the sheet.
Okay, so we're on. Your Sergeant, if you could just call the number out.
Sure, not a problem.
Thank you. Next, Judge.
Of course.
So we left off of 2:15, which is at 9 o'clock. It's a good night with an emoji. 2:16 is an attachment, a JPEG.
So they got through 200 and
that
some
was at
lines before he said it was
6:43
hard to follow.
And that is on the next day, correct?
Right.
9:26.
It's pretty
Correct.
And I pulled up the
in
attachment. What is
chronological
that?
order.
That's like a
It's
Bible
not hard
verse.
to follow.
Yeah, and why?
Yeah.
I mean,
You can continue from
Read
there.
All right,
the
so moving forward,
contents of it.
2:17
Right.
is from Doug with a good morning.
The time is right there next to
2:18,
each comment.
she loves the image.
right.
And 2:19, she responds also with a good morning. 2:20, Doug sends ready to start with a thumbs up. 2:21 is a call log from Doug with 0 seconds. 2:22, there's a message from Ashley Christina. Okay, I'll text you in a bit with an emoji. I can't tell what it is. Pretty small. The next record is 2:23. Just one of those action messages, liked a previous message, and it repeats. 2:24, want to come pick me up, and we can go get the truck.
And that's from Ashley.
And that's from Ashley.
Okay.
And Doug responds, sure, with 225, sure, headed that way. So at 226, I be here. And that's at 12:41 p.m. And then 227 is all the way at 9 o'clock in the evening. And it's from Doug, and it's a good night, sweet dreams. Then at 228, 9:23, Ashley responds with the action of loving the previous message and also responds with a good night. 2:30, there's another attachment at 6:42 from Doug to Ashley.
I'll pull up the attachment. What is that?
It's the Bible verse. After the attachment at 2:31, Doug sends good morning. 2:32, she responds, loved an image. And 2:33 with a good morning. 2:34, he responds what looks like a strong fist up emoji. And 2:35, there's also an incoming from Doug with just a little rectangle. 2:36, she responds with LOL. 2:37, he responds, what y'all working on? And that's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. 2:38, about 15 minutes later, she responds, last cram, LOL, using big boxes and getting the last loose stuff packed up and ready. And also responds on 2:39, how's it going over there? Making progress? He responds at 2:40, number 240, at 1:18 in the afternoon. Loose stuff should be a chapter in our book, LOL. Got everything out and in garage ready to throw on truck except couch, aka bed. Pretty much emptied. Taking solely to get his shots, then to doggy spa to get groomed and stay until ready to go. 241, he adds, I'll come there after drop him off at 3. 242, she responds with the action of laughing at a previous message, and it just repeats. Another action of liking a previous message, then adds, 244 adds, great, could you run by Lowe's before you come over, grab a few large and mediums. 245, he responds, sure, I need a few too, which is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Do you want to turn the light on?
At 2:35, number 246,
Geneva,
which is
give me
at
1 second,
2:35
okay?
in the afternoon. It's just
Okay.
a like by her, sure, I need a few, which just repeated from earlier. And
I'm just gonna
then
let it
adds,
keep playing.
just to be safe, let's do 10
Okay.
of each just for the last bit here. 248 from Doug, he likes the previous message and adds, and 249, okay, let me know anything else if think of. 250, she responds, tape. 251, and also adds LOL. 252, he responds, ha, K. 253, just finished vet, headed to spa, LOL. 254, she laughed at that previous message. 255, he says, headed there. 256, she responds, okay. The next line, 257, I'm here out front. She responds, okay, 1 minute.
Now, when he says, I'm here out front, and she responds, okay, 1 minute, about what time is that during the day?
That's about 3:54 in the afternoon.
Okay, and the next message is at about what time?
3:55 in the afternoon.
And the next after that?
After that, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
So there's an hour and several minutes in between these two?
Correct.
Okay, so after, okay, 1 minute, what is said?
Then 2:59, about to head back from Doug. And then the message after that appears to be an attachment at 5:11 in the afternoon.
And I'm clicking on the attachment for the record.
It appears to be
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
it appears to be maybe the U-Haul truck that they're loading up.
And that was sent from Doug?
That was 5:11. Yeah, that was incoming. Yes, from Doug to Ashley.
Okay, and then the next message?
The next is from Doug, and this is number 261. Everything in except couch and 10 medium boxes and tutu cab, LOL. 262, she laughed at the image. 263, she responds, ha, OMG. 264, he responds with trucker on the way, and that's at 5:32 p.m.
At 5:32 p.m., was that the last communication between these two?
I believe so, yes.
Thank you. Judge, can we approach just a moment?
Yes.
Before-
What does 22 cab mean?
Members of the jury, there's one legal issue that I need to resolve before we finish up with this witness's direct. So I'm going to excuse you in the back. It should take about 10 minutes, my best guess. So please don't begin deliberations amongst yourself. You can communicate outside, send and receive texts, emails, telephone calls, but just don't talk about the case. And don't do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics you've heard anything about. I'll get you back out here as soon as I can. All right, you all can have a seat. Detective, I don't know to what extent we're going to be talking about the testimony you may have, so I'm going to go ahead and excuse you for right now, just to be cautious. Please understand the rules of sequestration. The rule of sequestration has been invoked. You're not to discuss your testimony or the answers you've given or the questions you've been asked with anybody outside this room. You're not supposed to talk with any other witnesses about the testimony they've given or the questions they've been asked. And to my understanding, this may be online. You're not to watch or view anything related to this case until you're released from your subpoena or the jury's returned a verdict in their discharge. Understood? All right, so just step outside and get you back in as soon as we can. No, I think it's fine, because I think they're still going to beat them down. I can see all right. Okay, the detective is out of the room. We can have argument on this video.
Thank you, Judge. And thank you for rehearing the issue. I had a chance to research and we obviously weren't.
If you've got case law, contrary to what people may think, I want to make the right decision. So if you've got case law, I want to hear it.
Thank you, sir. I actually just sent one to the printer because I didn't know if you'd rather have it, but it's called Lumark. I don't know, Lumarquve. It's 44 Southern 3rd, 171.
Say that again.
Sure, 44 Southern 3rd, 171. There's a yellow flag, but it's for a different reason. This case was.
Judge, are you looking it up electronically or would you like a hard copy?
No,
Okay.
I'll take a copy if you have one.
Oh. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Is that the only one you've got?
It
No,
was
you can have it.
one at a time. I can do it, Judge.
We printed this for you, but didn't realize we needed 2 copies, so here's the paper.
Judge, they revoked my copy in favor of the court.
Favor of the court.
We're not going to do anything until you get a copy.
It should come any second.
Of course, I can't blame their decision, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
The part that I'm referring to is on the second page. It's a short case, luckily, where my reading of it is there were text messages and photographs, which I think videos and photographs are treated the same in most case law. That's my understanding, my feeling. But that there were images and text messages that could not be authenticated by an ex-wife on the defendant's phone, and the trial court did not allow them into evidence. The third DCA here said the court erred. The images and text messages were found on the defendant's cellular phone.
Can you slow down just a little bit for the reporter?
The images and text messages were found on the defendant's cellular phone, seized pursuant to a search of the defendant's home through a warrant shortly after the alleged incident. This fact was testified by the state's forensic expert and is sufficient to authenticate the exhibits. Here, those phones have been in evidence since the day before. The contents of them were admitted with a trial exhibit today and not objected to. The only thing is this one video was objected to this attachment. And the state would argue based on this case that we have established this phone was properly searched, properly downloaded, and the material was found on the defendant's phone, the video. Said phone, and therefore the state argument should be admitted.
All right. Mr. Taylor?
Just 1 second, Your Honor. Okay, I distinguish it on 2 bases, Your Honor.
Okay.
They quote U.S. versus Caldwell 11th Circuit decision, holding that authentication of evidence merely requires a finding that the evidence is what it purports to be. Well, that's the exact issue, sir. Sergeant Quiles cannot do that. He can only say this is a video that was on the phone. He can't say it's a true and accurate reproduction of
you want me to go
what took
forward
place
to
on that
the-
morning.
You
Doesn't know,
saw
for
the
example,
video?
Yeah. No, the video. Which video?
The mom eating all nasty.
Yes.
He wouldn't be able to say whether it was under coercive circumstances. I don't think he qualifies to be able.
Yeah, where she's sitting there chewing with her mouth wide open. And,
Wait,
yeah.
are you saying I had to step away for a second?
What is a 22? What did when she said 22 cab or he said 22 cab? What does that mean? Are they talking about a weapon?
What? Say that again.
22 cab.
They
Like
just
Doug
say-
said in one of his messages to her, like I've got the truck all loaded up except for the couch, 10 medium boxes, and a 22 or the 22 cab or something like that.
I don't know what cab would be. I have no idea what that would be.
Is a 22 a weapon or no? I know nothing about guns.
Well, that would be a caliber,
Okay.
not a cab.
Okay. I think that's what I was.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Okay. I was just curious what that meant.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I was like, would it be cat? But you wouldn't put the cat in the U-Haul.
Maybe it's wine, Cabernet.
Yeah,
a
but if this was
22
in,
Cabernet. Oh yeah, it was 2020. It was before that.
yeah,
I
it
don't
wouldn't
know.
have been. It wouldn't
Yeah.
have been done yet.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was talking about. But he does make spelling errors. It seems like but he also types weird. Like I be here. Like I don't know.
Right.
I don't talk like that.
Yeah.
And I don't ever check what I'm typing.
Or do any research on the case. Everybody says no.
Attachment of video that was sent by Doug. It's line
Play
25.
this video
So sent
and
by
then I'll
Doug
go to the
Ashley.
ME.
Correct? Oh, you don't have the sheet in front of you.
No. Thank you. Line 25 is an attachment from Doug to Ashley Christina.
Okay, I'm going to play that attachment at this time.
This video would drive
I know what it's
MW
doing.
nuts if she saw this now.
It's giving me a few clues that I gotta guess. Get real. Real.
Working mother, not a working mother.
God,
Working mother,
Dick.
not a working mother.
I know.
I live in a
Slum. Oh no, it's running out of time. House. Real house. White. Oh, housewife. Oh.
Okay, thank you. I have
She's
no
like,
other
I'm
questions.
fucked.
Yep.
Cross. And Mr. Taylor, do you want the screen or do you want the lights back up?
I'm going to use the screen.
Yes, sir. We'll leave it as is.
You want your, okay.
Good morning, Sergeant Taylor.
Good morning.
I want to make sure that we can establish the contours of your testimony. From the technical services unit, you're capable and authorized to extract this information from the cell phones of both Doug Benefield and Ashley Benefield.
Yes.
You don't know the context about the messages. You
Oh
just are
God, this
able to read
was stupid.
what's printed.
I can read what's printed from the extraction, yes.
Right. But for example, there were quite a few Bible verses. You wouldn't be able to necessarily tell us that Doug Benefield's a very religious guy. You just can tell us, here's the Bible verses that he posted.
Yes, I could tell you that he sent a Bible verse.
Okay. And you can't tell us the reason that either party may have had for sending a particular text. You can only tell us this is what the text says.
Correct.
You can't tell us whether the text is true or false. You can only tell us what the text says.
Correct.
You can't tell us if the text is genuine
Oh my
or
God,
motivated
no
by fear.
shit,
You
Sherlock.
can only tell us what it says.
Correct.
I'd like to pass you what we've marked as defendants.
The only thing I can get from this is that to ask such stupid questions is that he's setting himself up for one of his witnesses that he's going to call in defense.
Yeah.
There's, I mean,
And he asked the same stupid. I mean, it's yeah.
he asks such off the wall shit that
Yeah.
half the time I try to like figure out what the hell he's saying. Like, where's he going with this?
Right.
But you really have no idea with this guy
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
at all.
No, you don't.
Exhibit 3. and ask you if you can identify it.
I would object to leave on the scope.
Okay, I don't know.
Okay, but
Oh God, not another sidebar.
She matches her headphones.
I'm going to ask you, Sergeant Quiles, what I've marked now as Defendant's Exhibit 3. Those would they not, text messages that you also extracted?
I believe these were the text messages that you may highlighted during a deposition, and
Yeah.
we confirmed that these came from, I believe, Doug's phone.
Correct.
Yes.
And that we requested.
I apologize, Judge. I do think we need to approach it.
Oh boy. I do have deposition transcript from Doug's deposition in their divorce case.
Oh, really?
I haven't looked at it though. Hold on one second. Let me stop sharing this screen real quick so I'm just going to pull it up on a different screen. I just got to get it off. I have it on the same screen, so that's why I was trying to pull it off real quick. And since I had that full screen, I couldn't see it. Let me reshare this. Sorry for the interruption. Wait. Oh yeah, they're on sidebar. Why can't I anything? Oh no, it was yesterday. She matched her headphones. My bad.
Yeah, because she was running
All right, moving the jury, it's going to take a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do at this point is, it's about 11:30. I'm going to let you go to an early lunch. So if you could be back downstairs in the jury assembly room at 12:45, that gives you a little bit extra time. That'll give us time to take care of what we need to take care of, and we'll get you back up here as soon as we can, right after your lunch break. Please remember, don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't discuss the case with anybody else, and don't do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics you've heard anything
I'm
about.
trying to think. I think they left the cycle
Quiles,
going.
I'm
Pretty
going to
sure.
let you
of
go
it.
also for lunch.
Yeah,
Just remember
they
the
did.
admonitions from earlier. Don't discuss the case with
Said that
anyone.
they were
Let
at
anyone
lunch
discuss the
for
case
a
with
long
you.
time.
Don't
Yeah.
talk with any other witnesses. You can't talk with the attorneys about their testimony. Don't do any research or watch anything
Okay,
online.
let me
If you could
pause that. So that's that, and then let me go find the ME. Just trying to get past his.
Examined many hundreds of gunshot wounds.
Thank you, sir. And I'm going to draw your attention back to September of 2020. Did you conduct an autopsy on Douglas Benefield?
I did.
And when did you do that?
The autopsy was performed in the morning of September 28th of 2020.
And can you explain how your procedure for conducting an autopsy?
Certainly. And I don't think my procedure is greatly different from other medical examiners or forensic pathologists. But the procedure starts with the examination of the body in its state as it arrives, at our facility where the autopsy is performed. That includes documenting the condition of the body with photographs and diagrams and written notes. Following that, if there's reason for evidence collection, and typically that's going to be in concert with a law enforcement agency, then evidence collection ensues. After the initial part of the examination and the evidence collection, then there is a more detailed examination looking for identifying characteristics, changes that might represent natural disease, and then any injuries that are present. After all of that, then I think what many people might consider the traditional part of the autopsy begins, which is the internal examination, where the body is examined internally for, again, the same kind of changes of injuries and natural diseases.
And is that the process you followed in the autopsy of Mr. Benefield?
It is.
Thank you. And during your autopsy, are photos taken to document injuries found, if any, on the body?
Yes.
And in this case of the autopsy of Mr. Benefield, were pictures taken?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Dr. Vega, I'm showing you the pre-marked as dates 86 through.
Can I see the photographs, please?
Yes, the same as the one you just looked at.
Did you ever watch Dr. G?
Yes, I love her.
Yeah, same. I wish she still did stuff. I don't think they do shows like that anymore, do they?
Not really. They
So
might,
three
like on
photographs
Discovery
on
ID or something, maybe.
Okay.
But I don't think so. Not quite to that extent. Like, and I've seen her in a couple of documentaries here and there too.
Like with how big it seems like true crime is,
Yeah.
like trials and things like that. I feel like we're in a time that it could teach a lot of people.
Right.
Like viewership, I feel like would be up now versus when it's kind of like paranormal, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, I really like her though. I really wish like I said, I see her in a couple documentaries here and there, but she's just always been really good at
Mm-hmm.
explaining things kind of in more layman's terms. And
I'm trying to think. There was another show, and it was on.
the older guy,
I think you're thinking are you thinking of the one that was on HBO at one point?
maybe. Well, no, wasn't that Autopsy? Wasn't that what that show was called?
That was Autopsy, yeah. But there
Yeah.
was another one that was on Discovery. What the hell was it? Let me see. Oh man, I can't. I think he was up in like either Maryland or Pennsylvania. Can't remember his name, but I really, really, really liked him. I think he had a bow tie. He always wore a bow tie, maybe.
Well, she's going to put them back in order for me while we do that. During
I
your
think I
autopsy,
know
did you
who you're
determine the
talking
height
about.
and weight of Mr. Benefield?
See if I can find it.
I determined the height and the body length. That's what we measure with the body reclined on the table. I think it's a very close approximation to height. It might not be exactly the same.
Yes, sir. And what was Mr. Benefield's weight at the time of his homicide?
It was 169 pounds.
And the length?
The body length was measured to be 69 inches or 5 foot 9 inches.
Thank you for converting it for me. And during your external exam, as we discussed, those injuries are documented in these photos as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to now show you.
What the hell is this?
Sorry, Judge, bear with me.
She is so frail looking. Like they're skinny, but he's
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Sorry,
one
this
more
is
time. I'm gonna show
I
you.
got totally squirreled here for a second. I gotta show you this. Let me pull this over to a different screen. It says not available in our country, but like this would be so fascinating.
not available
Sure
in
is.
our country.
Yeah, well, because
Well,
look,
that's
it
rude.
says no. I think it's a YouTube video.
Oh,
look at this.
Royal Autopsy.
Have you seen this?
No.
I've never even heard of it. But it's
I wonder if it's on BritBox.
on what?
BritBox.
What's that?
It's like a channel. I have it through my Amazon Prime where they have all of these British shows,
Oh.
like a lot of British. It's all British content. I mean, that's Brit.
Oh, I
BRT,
need to check my
BRIT
Amazon
box.
account then.
Yeah, like I mean, I
Yeah.
pay for it, but I mean, it's like I think like $1.99 a month or something. I mean, it's really inexpensive.
Use a VPN. How much do I tell myself right now? Um,
You would have to use like a UK VPN, wouldn't you? Oh, I guess. I mean,
well, I
it's
could put
probably
myself anywhere in the world if you want me
Right.
to be completely honest.
right.
But um on the British monarchs, like that sounds super interesting.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Yeah. I'm gonna write that down before
I'm
so I was
surprised
trying
that
to
they even do autopsies on the monarchs. Like you would think that they would be so like serious about like preserving the body that they wouldn't want to do. I mean, we must be talking about like not
yeah, I don't
recent,
know.
not
It
recent
says
monarchs. Although I guess we really
combination
only
of
have,
his well, I mean they're talking about King George,
yeah, we're going way back. Yeah.
King
Well, I mean,
Henry, Queen Anne.
yeah.
I don't know when this show was, like when it came out, but when I looked at let me see. That's the
Emmy.
like the thumbnail or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And she seems like edgy, like it doesn't look like it's an old show. So I don't know. It looks interesting. Wait, is that the same lady right there? Am I tripping?
Same what?
This lady right oh
Yeah.
shit. I never mind. You can't even see my cursor where I'm at right now. I'm all pointing and you can't see bottom right. She looks different because she doesn't have the pink hair.
Wait, is this it? Oh, it is on BritBox. If this is it, autopsy and dramatized reconstructions explore the death of King Charles II, Queen Elizabeth I.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds
Yeah,
just
it is on, yeah, this is the same thing. It is on BritBox.
so it's Amazon Brit Docs.
Yeah.
Like DOC?
No, box, BOX.
Oh, box.
Box.
Brit box.
Brit
Yeah,
box.
I definitely haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
Interesting. You'll have to watch it.
Yeah, no, I'm totally going to watch it. In fact, I'm going to put it on my
I'm writing it
list
down right now. If anybody has watched it, let us know. But total side note there. I saw that and I was like, wait a minute. This looks interesting.
Oh, wait,
I was
there's
trying to
2
find
seasons.
does it say when it came out?
Looks like 2022.
Oh, so it's not that old. Well, at least they're still making shows like that. I mean, somewhere. Too bad it's not in the United States.
Right.
Oh, they should.
I don't know if we have anybody that interesting to.
I'm sure we do. Like there's
Queen,
so many
Queen Mary
things
the
that
First. That'll be interesting. Bloody Mary.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think
just put it on
there's
my list.
so much that we could learn from
Mm-hmm.
us the kids part. I couldn't do it if it was kids though. That
No,
I would,
no.
but yeah, I don't know.
86 through 97.
I'm gonna look it up,
Do you mind taking a
though,
look at
and see
those
if I have
photos and telling me if you recognize them?
Wait a second. Did I keep this plane? I didn't keep this plane, did I?
For what? Through what?
Oh, okay.
No, you didn't. You skipped back
I
to when
paused
the
it, okay.
medical examiner hit us. Yeah.
She's very aware of this camera, I've
Mhm.
noticed.
Yep.
Yes, I do
He
recognize them.
will not
And
look
are
at it.
and what are they?
These are photos taken at the time of the autopsy of Mr. Benefield back in September of 2020.
And do they fairly and accurately depict some of the injuries and some evidence that was as they were in September of 2020?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. This time I'd ask to enter states 86 through 97.
No objection.
Received.
Thank you. And generally, when you examine Mr. Benefield's body, I'm going to display them out here in just a moment.
Okay.
Did you find injuries on the outside of his body?
I did, yes.
And where were they? And we'll talk about them in detail, but generally, where were they?
There was an injury to the right side of his chest, there was an injury to his right shoulder, and there was an injury to his right leg.
And did he have any injuries to his face or head?
No. Well, he did have to his head. Yes, I'm sorry, not his face.
And what type of injury was that?
The injury to his head was what we would typically call in medical terminology, we'd call an abraded contusion. That's a swollen and scraped bruise. And it was on the very back of his scalp at what we call the occipital protuberance, or the lump at the very back of the head.
And what would that type of injury be consistent with?
Typically, it's from falling backward and striking the head.
And when you were looking at his external injuries, did you have some opinion as to what had caused them, specifically the chest and the leg?
Yes,
And what did you feel that they were?
they were gunshot wounds.
And did you then conduct an internal exam?
Yes,
And did that internal exam confirm what you felt about that they were gunshot wounds?
yes.
And I'm going to display behind you states 86. Oh, okay. And I believe this is generally what we call an identification photo. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And is that Mr. Benefield as he was in September of 2020?
Yes,
Thank you. And then let's first talk about the injuries you said he suffered to the chest. You said that was a gunshot wound?
yes.
And how many defects in his body were associated with the chest wound?
There was one defect, and that was on the upper right side of the chest.
And is that what we see here in states 87?
It is, although we're also seeing the injury to his right arm area as well. Actually, that's the one that has the marker on it. The chest injury is just above and to the right of that, at least according to the viewpoint of the viewer of this photo.
And for orientation purposes, this is his right side of his body?
It is, and I'll use the laser pointer to indicate this is the arm injury, and that's the chest injury, just to the right side of his right nipple.
And was there, you said there was only one injury. Does that mean this is an entrance wound?
That's correct.
Was there and there was no corresponding exit?
That is also correct.
And did you locate a projectile that was associated with this chest wound?
I did.
And where was it?
It was lodged in the tissues of the left side of the back.
I'm going to show you states 88. I believe that's a close-up of the injury we saw on his chest.
It is.
And then can you kind of orient the jury as to what we're looking at in states 89?
Yes, this is the back of Mr. Benefield's
poor
body.
cousin.
He has been rolled up onto his left side. So what we're seeing here is his back,
Yeah, he's
the head here.
more upset than
So this
she
is.
is.
The
and
left
she's
shoulder,
his
the right
wife.
shoulder would be up here. This is the left side of his back, and it's this purple area right here that represents where the projectile was lodged under the skin and the tissue.
And did you remove it?
I did.
I'm going to show you states 90. Is that the removal process for the projectile from Mr. Benefield's body?
It is. In order to visualize it and then remove it, I made an incision in the skin, which you see here, and then just
see
for
his, like,
documentation
chin
purposes, I reflected
quivering.
the skin with the tip of the scissors so that we could photograph the projectile in place in the tissue prior to its removal.
And Dr. Vega, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to states 89. Where you described his body, but there's some skin discoloration. Can you explain to the jury why his skin looks red or darker?
Certainly. That is what we call lividity. Lividity is the settling of blood in the tissues that occurs after death when the heart's no longer pumping, and the major force acting on it is gravity. When somebody's lying on their back after death, which is typically what we see, we are of the usual process of putting somebody on their back in a dignified position after death. And so the blood typically does settle into the back, and we see this purplish coloration here, which is a result of that. There's some here as well. This area here where there isn't any discoloration, except where the bullet is because this is where the table was pressing up against the skin, and that pressure kept the blood from settling in those areas. So most of this purple discoloration is lividity, with the exception of this area right here, which is due to a little bit of bruising associated with the placement of the bullet there.
And Dr. Vega, I'm going to show you what's been marked as states 14. Would you take a look at that item and tell me if you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize it?
This is the projectile that I recovered from the back that you could see in the photograph you had up previously.
And other than having been repackaged for trial purposes, does it appear to be in the same or substantially the same condition as when you removed it from Mr. Benefield's back?
It does, yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would ask to enter States 14.
Objection.
Hey,
Received.
Forever Young.
And Doctor, I'm going to show you States 95. Is this the same projectile that you have there in States 14?
Yes, it is.
And what, if you know, is that red part that's next to the projectile?
This is a small rubber plug that is occasionally found in certain hollow point type projectiles. Not all hollow point projectiles have these rubber plugs, but it's part of the process of creating this hollow point that allows the projectile to expand and deform, as we see in this case here.
Thank you. And so going back to the location of the projectile, based on where the entrance wound was and the where you found the projectile, did you determine a path of travel that projectile took through Mr. Benefield's body?
I did.
And what was the path of travel?
So the path of travel was one of entering the right side of the chest, striking the 5th rib on the right side, the right lung, the 10th vertebral body on the in the middle of the spine, then the left lung, the 10th rib, and then the soft tissues of the back until it stopped where it is. And that path then, if one were standing upright and straight, would be from the right side toward the left, from the front towards the back, and essentially horizontal, in other words, without angling upward or downward. And again, that's relative to a standing upright position.
Yes, sir. And would you mind, would you be so kind as to stand up and kind of point on your body to where the entrance wound would be?
Certainly.
Thanks, sir. And where would the exit wound be?
Well, no exit, but
I'm sorry, the projectile.
The projectile,
Yes, sir.
my mobility is limited, but essentially would be in the back over here, where the tip of my thumb is.
Thank you. And would you just turn back so we can see the entrance again?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And you said that the wound was front to back. Was it, and from how you showed, you said it was essentially horizontal?
Yes.
Was it, it wasn't front to back like it went straight through. Can you describe it?
Certainly. I mean, it went through an angled path through the body, and that angle took it from the front toward the back, but at a greater angle from right to left.
Thank you. And you said that it struck his ribs and his lungs and his vertebral.
His vertebral body.
Thank you.
The
So
spine.
his spine.
Yes.
And would that injury have been immediately fatal?
Probably not.
See?
And would it have incapacitated, if you can say, incapacitated Mr. Benefield quickly?
I think it would have incapacitated him quickly. Whether or not it was immediate, I don't think one can predict.
Thank you, sir. I'm now going to take you to the arm wound. Was this wound different from the wound we saw in Mr. Benefield's chest?
Yes.
So, based on the direction that he was shot and the fact that he does not suspect that someone would pass right away. I mean,
Right.
not immediately fatal.
Right.
So she didn't render aid.
Mm-mm. No, she took the gun and ran.
Yeah, but I mean, just the direction
Yeah.
of the projectile. And then once he gets to the leg, then like where he's shot in the leg, it's like, I don't know. I don't know.
If I remember correctly, I think he said it went basically right through the knee from side to side, which would imply he wasn't facing
Are you
her,
talking
like he was
about
turning.
the calf?
Was it in the calf? I thought he said it was by the knee. Like it went in one side. Like there was an entrance and an exit, and I thought it was by the knee.
Well, we'll go over it, but
It would just imply that it wasn't straight. Like he
No.
wasn't straight facing her.
right, no, he
Like he was
right.
turning.
Right, but the one on the projectile that went through the entrance was through the calf, but then the exit wound was through the knee.
Mm-hmm.
So it went up.
Went up.
Or I mean, I guess it
Almost like
depends on
he
the
had
directions.
picked his leg wasn't flat on the ground. Like he wasn't.
Or
his
she was
leg
standing
up.
over him and it went down. I guess it depends on how you look at it.
Well, the entrance though, it went up, like the entrance through the calf and then out the knee would imply that his leg was up, like he was running or something. Like his leg was bent. It wasn't straight, is what it sounds like. For it to go through the calf and out the knee. I mean, that's a pretty.
I don't know if we'll ever know. I mean,
Yeah, that's a pretty
defense tried to
sharp
spin it as
trajectory.
he was falling on his back and she shot and his legs were up in the air because he was falling like in an.
So if he's
like-
falling, why are you going to keep shooting?
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I
I
don't
know that's the question of the century, but
I don't know how to describe it, but like you're laying on your back and you point
Right.
the base of your feet to the ceiling, like,
yeah. Yeah, no, I get it.
but then that would seem like you're standing over top of him, but
Right.
I don't know. His spinning of everything just it
But
almost
they
like
said that she wasn't that it wasn't close range though. He did say that.
no, there was no stippling on it.
Right.
And how so? And this, for the record, states 91.
Yes, what one can maybe not clearly appreciate just from viewing the photo, but was clearly evident at the time of the examination is that this is only a surface wound. So what you see as the mark on the skin here is the full extent of this injury. So it's an abrasion or a scrape on the skin, but outside of the effect on the skin, nothing deeper was involved with this injury.
Thank you, sir. And then finally you said he was also shot in the leg. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I'm going to show you states 92. Can you orient the jury as to what we're looking at on Mr. Benefield's body?
Yes, and this is a little bit of a tough one orientation-wise, but the injury is to the back of his leg. So what we're seeing here is the back of the leg, and it's excuse me, the calf area here. This is a perforation of that calf. Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it, the calf area.
And the chest wound we saw entered and did not exit. Was this wound the same or was it different?
It was different.
And how so?
Because this injury did indeed have an exit.
And where did you locate the exit?
The exit was on the right side of the knee.
And Dr. Vega, how can you, and I have a picture of that, but before we move on to that, how can you tell the difference between an entrance and an exit wound?
It's not always possible, but typically entrance wounds have more of a well-defined defect in the skin. Frequently that defect in the skin is paralleled by defect in the tissues that one can appreciate underneath. Many times the edge of the skin perforation or the edge of the skin defect will have a ring or at least an arc of abrasion or scraping as the bullet passes through. Exit wounds tend to not have those features. One way that I like to think about this is it's like a very fast-moving awl or punch in that it goes in and it almost drills a hole into the skin. But when it exits, what it does is it tenses up the skin until the skin tears. That's how a bullet exits. So typically, the tear doesn't have the same well-defined drilled appearance that the entrance wound rather does. And in this case, that's exactly what we see.
And I'll show you 93 correct me if I'm wrong, but that is the exit wound associated with the entrance we just saw.
That's correct.
And I have a close-up. This is states 94. And so can you kind of show the jury how you knew this was an exit wound?
Yes. So this injury does not appear to be a round or drilled type of defect, but rather a tear in the skin that occurred when the skin was stretched until its breaking point by the bullet trying to exit.
And were you able to determine the wound path for this injury?
Yes.
And what was it?
So the wound path started at the back of the leg and went through the musculature of the calf, and then I couldn't tell for certain if the path actually went through the bones or if it passed right next to the bones, but because of blast effect injured them, causing fracture. The amount of tissue damage can make that part difficult to separate out, and that was the case here. After doing that and fracturing the very top part of the leg bones, the tibia and the fibula, it then exited through this exit defect on the lower right side of the knee.
And I hate to ask you, but would you mind stepping down and showing us on your leg where this entered and where it exited?
Certainly.
Thank you. You're more comfortable. Yes, sir.
Mr. Taylor, if you need to reposition so you can see, please feel free to do so.
So on me, the entrance was here.
If it helps, I can put my finger there.
And the exit here.
So here to here.
Yes.
And so that's, you said slightly up or up.
It's upward from the right toward the left, and from back to front. Yes, largely all three of those components.
Thank you.
Back to front.
Well, you know what, Dr. Vega, while you're down here, just for clarification, would you show me again the chest wound? Just because I think you're easier to see now that I made you drop the stand.
Entrance. Lodged bullet.
Would you just spin one time? Just turn so they can see. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Vega. I appreciate that.
Mr. Taylor, were you able to see both of those demonstrations?
Yes, Judge White, thank you.
Dr. Vega, was there any physical evidence associated with this injury that was recovered from Mr. Benefield's body?
From the leg injury?
Yes, sir.
Yes, there was.
And I'm going to show you states 15. You'll take a look at that and tell me if you recognize it.
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize it?
This is the lead fragment which was recovered from Mr. Benefield's leg just deep to the exit defect.
And how does this differ from the projectile? Like you're saying fragment. What does that mean compared to the projectile?
Well, as we've already discussed, we have an entrance and an exit here. So essentially, the projectile exited the body. Before it did, a small piece of it broke off and remained in the tissues. This is that piece, and that's what I recovered at the autopsy.
Thank you, sir. And other than having been repackaged for trial purposes, does it appear to be in the same or substantially the same condition as when you removed it from Mr. Benefield's body?
It does.
Thank you. Your Honor, the state would ask to enter states 15.
No objection.
Received.
Thank you. And Dr. Vega, I have a photo of states This is States 97. Is that the same item that is in States 15?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you find any, I'm going to go back to the, well, Dr. Vega, what is stippling?
Stippling is a term we use to describe certain changes that occur in association with gunshot injuries. It refers to the pattern on the skin or any other target of unburned gunpowder fragments that strike that target and create a pattern.
And did you find any stippling associated with the gunshot wound to Mr. Benefield's leg?
I did not.
Did you find any with a wound associated with his chest?
I did not.
And what, if anything, does the absence of stippling tell you? Specifically, we'll talk about the leg first.
Well, the absence it reflects the same principle in either injury, and what it means is that typically when the weapon was discharged, it was far enough away so that the unburned gunpowder fragments, which are ejected with the bullet, had a chance to lose velocity and fall away prior to striking the skin. In general, typically that means that the muzzle of the weapon was more than 3 feet away from the target or the skin in this case. But any more precise determinations require the test firing of a weapon, same weapon or same style of weapon with the same ammunition to try and get more specific information.
Okay, my lights.
And for the
everything
chest
just
wound, if he
flashed
were wearing a
again.
shirt when he was shot, would that affect what you would find on his body?
Yes.
Okay, that was why I was asking separately. And so to be clear, you said the muzzle. So would that mean that if it's not necessarily the body of the shooter, but if they had their arm extended or even here, it's the end of the gun from Mr. Benefield's body?
That's right.
And I know you determined a path of travel and we're still talking about the leg injury, for this leg injury, but does it tell you this path of travel anything about where the shooter would have been standing?
All it really tells me is the relative position of the weapon to the leg at the time that the weapon was fired.
Yes, sir.
And trying to come up with the relative position of the shooter at the time that the weapon was discharged is much more complicated because both the shooter and the victim, and specifically the victim's leg, can be in multiple different positions and still end up with that required relative position of the gun to the leg and still create this same injury.
And, Your Honor, may I have just one moment?
Yes.
Dr. Vega, if, hypothetically, Mr. Benefield were falling, would it make sense that his legs would flip up in the air enough for this path of travel? Does that make sense?
I mean, if this injury were sustained while he was falling,
Yes.
then the injury would be sustained while his body is changing its position and in motion. But regardless, at the time the weapon was fired, the muzzle of the weapon would still have to be, relatively speaking, below, to the left of, and behind the right leg in order to get this particular angle of path of travel through the leg.
Thank you. And can you tell when you conduct an autopsy, and specifically in Mr. Benefield, which of these wounds occurred in what order?
I cannot.
And once you completed your autopsy, did you order toxicology testing?
Yes,
And was that done in this case?
it was.
And were there any drugs or alcohol found in Mr. Benefield's body?
No, there were not.
And finally, based on everything that you did during your autopsy, did you determine the cause of death?
I did.
And what was that?
I determined the cause of death to be a gunshot wound to the chest that caused perforation of the lung, or the lungs, both lungs, with hemothoraces, it's a fancy word for bleeding that occurs in the chest.
And I didn't ask you this, but I guess, could you explain, so once this bullet entered Mr. Benefield and started to travel through his lungs, what would have been happening inside his body, or what would happen right after?
The primary things that happen there are that very rapid bleeding starts to occur. The bleeding is rapid because the lungs are very vascular, and so when they're damaged, they bleed very quickly. And also, there's no impediment to the bleeding. The cavity around the lung can expand very rapidly to accommodate bleeding. So the bleeding that happens as a result of a gunshot wound to the lung is very rapid. In addition to the bleeding, when the lung gets a hole in it, it no longer holds its shape and its anatomical arrangements, and it collapses to some extent. That collapse is made worse by the accumulating blood pressing on the lung as well. So the combination of physiological effects of bleeding and lung collapse are the primary things that are occurring in the body at the time that, or immediately following the bullet passing through the lung.
Thank you. And did you determine the manner of death in this case?
I did.
And what was that?
I determined the manner of death to be homicide.
Now, we have just one moment.
Yes.
It's like I don't know how long he was alive, but it's like he suffered.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, I mean, he basically, from what this
I don't
guy
have anything
is
else, Dr.
saying,
Vega. Thank you. The
he
defense.
basically drowned in his own blood.
Mr. Taylor,
Is basically
Yeah.
what
And
happened,
of course, the question is, do you need this?
for all intents and purposes.
Like, she didn't cry through any of this. And I don't know. I know people react differently,
Afternoon,
but
Dr. Vega.
Good afternoon.
Haven't seen you for a while. How's that new facility that you're in?
Very
What
nice.
the
Thank you.
hell?
like
I thought
what
that
the
was
Just a
weird.
few
I know.
questions, if I may. I think you told
That was
us
so
that
weird.
The deceased was
Not because
169
of me.
pounds and stood 5 feet 9 inches
Ugh,
tall.
excuse me.
Correct, yes.
It came off to me. I don't know what, like,
You're not
if
sitting
that
over
was
coffee.
supposed to be like to make him feel comfortable. There's no way in shape or form it did. It
Right.
did not at all make him feel comfortable. I'm sure it
No.
was awkward.
Yep.
Is it like a reminder, like, we pay your taxes?
Yeah, I
And
don't know what
that
that was
is
about. It was weird.
getting you this new facility. Like, where's he going?
Right.
I don't know.
It was a very off the wall comment to make. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, it was one of those why? Like, what? Why? What does it have to do with
Mhm.
anything?
Yeah.
Muscular build.
I don't think I use that terminology. I think I just talked about the weight and the body length.
I want to ask you mentioned about hollow points. You know, the public perception about hollow points is that they are more lethal. The fact is it not true that the hollow point is designed to expand when it goes through tissue?
Yes, that's right.
The theory being it's to stop a bullet from exiting and harming someone else.
That's certainly part of the philosophy or utility of having a hollow point projectile.
And when you tell us that the wound was probably not fatal, within a reasonable degree of medical science, and I think you made it pretty clear, you really can't
Still
say
a
one way
bullet.
or another that
Still lethal.
upon being shot like that, he would have dropped immediately, that he may have continued for a couple of seconds.
Yes, that's right.
The stippling issue about gunpowder.
Hollow points are
It's from a
notoriously known
distance
for a
of
reason.
approximately, told us, 3 feet.
Roughly, yes.
Okay, that's, so when you exceed more than 3 feet, you would not expect to find stippling.
That's correct.
Okay, and you didn't find any stippling on his shirt.
I didn't examine his shirt.
Okay, so if somebody were backing away while they were firing and they got beyond that 3-foot range, there may not be any stippling.
That's correct.
All right. You said that the wound to the scalp was indicative of, you traditionally see it, of somebody falling backwards and hitting a hard surface like a tile floor.
Yes.
I want to ask you just a couple other questions. Are all homicides crimes?
Objection to it, Your Honor.
Yeah, I was gonna say what?
How loud if the witness has
The
the knowledge to
definition
answer?
of homicide is a crime.
In my
Murder.
experience, homicide, as determined by a medical examiner, has a certain medical legal significance, which does not necessarily imply criminality.
Okay. In simple language, it could be excusable,
Objection, close for legal.
I'll sustain.
He's
justifiable.
not an attorney.
I think if it's within his knowledge, Your Honor.
No, I'm going to sustain because that's asked for a legal conclusion as opposed to a medical conclusion.
All right.
Like, what the
You
fuck?
mentioned, Dr. Vega, that you could not determine the order of the shots.
That's correct.
Okay, there is no medical method of being able to say which shot came first, which shot came second.
In certain cases, the physiological findings may help you with that, but in this case, no.
Okay, hold on.
Would it be a fair statement for,
So let's say that I don't know where he's reaching with this whole, he can't determine which shot was first.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, let's say that he was shot in the back of the calf first. Like, that does not help. That makes it worse.
Yep.
You know, like, say he was shot in the back of the calf and then he turned, like, what the fuck? You just
And then
shot me in the leg.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I-
And either way, it doesn't even matter really which one was first. It still had the same end result, and one was not necessary, but 2 was really not necessary. So, like,
Well, and there's more than that.
well, right, but I'm just, it's like she had no reason to keep after the first one hit, wherever it hit, like, he wasn't threatening her with the weapon. He wasn't threatening her life in any way, shape, or form. So
And
why
she
are
would
you
have
gonna
kept
keep-
shooting if it wouldn't have jammed on her.
right. So the fact that you're over here just continually, she wasn't trying to just incapacitate him, clearly.
Yeah, like, I don't, he asks such odd questions.
He really does.
me to say that for the chest shot, the weapon would have had to have been pointing at his chest from the front?
Yes.
Let me just check, Your Honor. I think that might
Yes, sir.
conclude.
Right. Excusable purple dragon. It's like, no, I don't. Excusable is not a word that I would use when referring to homicide.
Last question with respect to the leg. You've told us that the gun would have had to have been lower than the leg to get that upward trajectory.
Yes, although I would say that lower is a relative term,
Yeah.
and legs can be put into various different positions. And if we're going to say lower, then it needs to be clear that lower means with respect to the leg in an upright position. And if the leg were horizontal, for example, then we might be talking about a position which is above the leg but pointing up towards the head of the body, for example.
Okay, so let's try to be clear here. If Mr. Benefield fell backwards and his legs went up in the air, might that injury be consistent with that?
Given that scenario, it's possible.
I believe that's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you, Dr. Vega.
State, any redirect?
Yes. Dr. Vega, I don't want it to be unclear. The gun would have, for the chest wound, the gun would have had to have been in front of Mr. Benefield's body. That's what you said.
Yes.
But it didn't enter his chest. It entered, or the front of him. It entered through the side.
Yes, so the weapon did have to be in front of him, but even more so it had to be to his right side.
And
Like sealed.
based on your training and experience, is it typical that if somebody were to fall backwards, that their legs would go above their heads when falling?
Without the intervention of something to fall over, an ottoman, a chair, or something like that, it seems unlikely.
And if Mr. Benefield were running, or his legs were up in the back, could the angle have also been accomplished?
Yes.
Thank you, doctor. I don't have anything else.
That's all.
All right, can the witness be released?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, you're released from your subpoena. You're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, General, we're switching to the deputy pass 14 and 15. Would you mind?
Oh, pass, you mean
Yes.
to the jury?
Sorry,
I wasn't quite sure what you meant.
Sorry,
Publish.
I meant pass through the jury. Yes, sir.
All right. Remember the jury, as with yesterday, we're going to pass these around. These will go back with you during your deliberations.
Autistic Shill, what do you think? Do you think that how he described this seems like self-defense? The trajectory of it? Find it.
Yeah, I
Very
find it
hard
a
to-
little hard to believe.
Yeah, same.
You got to see this awkward as hell attorney though when he tries to mimic the running.
Yeah, let me find I'm not going to go through the firearms expert. But let me go
Yeah,
to
because the firearms
his,
expert just kind of reiterated what the ME
yeah.
said.
Just trying to see.
Time, but I think she will be available tonight.
So what I'm going to do is we're going to stay this evening and keep working, but I'm going to let you all go for the evening. So remember, please don't discuss amongst yourselves anything about the case or begin deliberations. Don't talk. All right, the state having rested defense, your JOA.
I think it was right before this. Maybe.
What?
Oh no, it was after this. Yeah,
It's right here.
yeah.
Oh, well, he's starting the,
I have several bases upon which Ashley Benefield at this time, Your Honor, moves for a judgment of acquittal. To begin with, as the court knows, the information charges second-degree murder and requires proof that Ms. Benefield acted with a depraved mind. Furthermore, the evidence that exists at this point has raised a significant self-defense claim. And it's our position that, number one, the state has utterly failed to offer any evidence whatsoever to establish the essential element of a depraved mind. And number two, the state has failed to offer any evidence to overcome the self-defense claim that was raised as a result of the 9/11 call wherein my client is heard to exclaim, "He attacked me and I shot him," together with the scratches and the bruise to the left side of her face. So let me expand on that a little bit. For purposes of a depraved mind, we need ill will or hatred. No credible evidence has been forthcoming in any shape, form, or fashion that Ashley Benefield acted with ill will or hatred towards Doug Benefield. What has been established is
Is
that
it
Ashley
ill will
Benefield
shooting
feared
somebody?
Doug Benefield, and that Ashley
If
Benefield
you don't shoot
wanted
somebody with
to be done
goodwill.
with that relationship, but there has been no evidence at all that Ashley Benefield hated him, acted out of ill will, spite, or malice. The record is devoid of any evidence establishing that. There's also no demonstration, Your Honor, of indifference to human life, the alternative element. In fact, what there is evidence that in response to this terrible event, Ms. Benefield immediately fled next door to call 911. And 911, of
I
course,
hate how he
Go
says
next
that.
door
what
to
you
do
do
it.
to summon help. And
I know, when he says
there has
9/11,
been
I think September 11th.
nothing indicated otherwise that Ms. Benefield displayed indifference to human life.
Well, she could have picked up her
In
own phone
particular,
and
Your
called.
Honor, John Sant put the self-defense issue in play. He testified that Ms. Benefield said, "He attacked me and I shot him." The state has failed to negate in any capacity whatsoever, even when viewed in the light most favorable to the prosecution, that there has been proof established beyond a reasonable doubt that Ms. Benefield's use of force was not justified. All we have is he attacked me and I shot him. There's been nothing to undermine that. The state claimed that the release of the Broder report was the linchpin, and I think that that's pretty much been voided entirely by Dr. Broder's own testimony, yet alone Dr. Quintal's. And they have utterly failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the use of force was not justifiable. Under those circumstances, at this point, Judge White, no reasonable jury could convict Ashley Benefield, and if they were properly instructed on the law of self-defense
She's like
and the
trying not
state's
to laugh.
burden to disprove it, they could conclude that the state has failed to meet its burden. The self-defense context, Judge White, is crucial
I agree,
because it
yeah.
directly contradicts the notion of a depraved mind, and that Ms. Benefield was acting pursuant to that as opposed to acting in self-defense. She acted out of a legitimate fear for her safety. Then I have two other bases. Again, the court should remember that the state's theory, very specifically advanced in the opening statement, was that 3 days following the shooting was the denouement, the release of Dr. Broder's report, and therein was the reason for the shooting. Their alternative theory was that she killed him to keep him away from Emerson, their child together. What evidence has been produced to establish that? We heard from Dr. Broder nothing whatsoever contained in his report that was in the slightest manner detrimental to Ms. Benefield. Quite the contrary, Dr. Broder told us he concluded that Ashley had no impetuous tendencies, was not prone to anger. And of course, then there was Dr. Quintal, who said that, yes, she was concerned about the release of Broder's report, but only because she was afraid it would create reprisal from Doug Benefield if he found out what she said about him. And of course, then there's the whole issue about the email where Broder's release of that report was not scheduled for the 30th. The
That's
only
been
evidence
heavily
that we've
disputed,
seen
what
that
he's
supports
saying.
their alternative theory, the state's alternative theory that she killed her husband to keep him away from their child, is this.
Like, do you remember you saw Doug Benefield's attorney testify,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
How she kept saying, "No, you got that wrong. Like you
Yep.
got the dates wrong."
Yep.
That's what he's trying to say right now.
Yeah.
He's running with it.
Yeah.
5 reports of abuse of Emerson were filed with DCF. Of those 5, 2 were from independent sources. Where is there anything in that other than sheer speculation,
But
trying
wait,
to roll an
were
inference and an
those
innuendo
two that were even from independent sources, were they proven to be him? Like, was he ever proven to have been abusive to her? Do we not know?
He's
Do we not know it
everything.
wasn't the mom? Do we not know it wasn't the grandma? I mean, do we know that those two independent reports
They
were?
invest, from my understanding, they investigated all of her claims and allegations, and they were all unfounded.
Okay. So even those two from independent sources or whatever he's saying, I mean,
And
we don't know
the
that it was him.
the allegations with regard to like the CPS stuff and like all of that stuff is sealed. It's not even allowed in this trial.
Right. But yeah, he's still referencing it.
Yeah.
Into a fact. Where is there anything possible that justifies the fact that 5 abuse reports were filed, 2 of which were by independent third parties? How do you go from that to killing Doug Benefield to keep him away from the child? This is their case. They have the burden to produce that. They haven't done it, Your Honor. And we think a judgment of acquittal is appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. State.
And Judge, just at the onset, I disagree with a lot of the defense's recitation of the facts as they come out. I believe a lot of what he said, witnesses said, were not accurate. I don't believe that a lot of the witnesses said exactly in the manner that he just said the things that he said. But anyway, Judge, clearly the state has shown that this defendant killed Doug Benefield. She shot him 4 times. He died as a result of that. There is no dispute. No one is disputing that she did not kill him. So the only issue would be the depraved mind, regardless of human life. And the defense did mention ill will, hatred, spite, or ill will and hatred, but there was also spite or evil intent. And that is disjunctive, so it's or. And ill will is a very low threshold, to be honest. And the state has shown extensive evidence of motive, of the fact that this woman did not want to share custody of her child with this victim, to the point where she would make allegations against him of sexually abusing his 1-year-old daughter and physically abusing his 1-year-old daughter. And none of these were sustained. And she moved on and on and on and on. And she made comments like, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep my baby a-hole. I'm running out of time, and she's frustrated that nobody's helping her. I'll do whatever I have to do. She's making all of these comments at the same time that she's making all of these false complaints, and the state does call them false complaints, of abuse to her child. Also, I think defense counsel has made a much bigger deal about Dr. Broder's report coming out than I think the state actually ever did. The state had said that this was the same exact judge that she had not had luck with before, and implied that she didn't want to be in front of this same judge again. And in addition, Dr. Broder's report was coming out, and that was going to be a problem as well. So I think there are several reasons. But when you talk about the actual evidence itself of the shooting, she shot 4 times, and the entrance wound of the fatal wound is not front; it is side to side. So he was turned away from her, and then it's the state's argument that he was moving his leg to run when he was shot as he's running away. She then just leaves him there to die and runs away. And Judge, I think all of these things together,
I don't know why.
in the light most favorable to the state, I don't think
He
the
makes
defense has
me
put on
laugh.
any evidence of self-defense. The defense has attempted to put in a lot of evidence, and things were objected to and sustained by Your Honor. So a lot of the things that the defense just argued have not come in as evidence. So in the light most favorable to the state, we would ask you to deny the JOA. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor, would you like to place any rebuttal in the record?
Very briefly. Thank you.
Or not briefly?
Yeah, no, briefly.
Here it
So,
is. Here's
here's
I
what we
love
have
this.
according to the
I don't know
state.
why
We have
this
a
cracks
woman
me up so
who
much.
is going through a divorce, who has no prior history of criminality or arrest, who, according to Broder, has no impetuous fits of anger, who has done everything according to the requirements of the law, filing a report after report, not doing anything but staying in compliance is what a citizen is supposed to do. And she goes from that to killing Douglas Benefield on a naked theory. There's no evidence in support for a predicate to establish that theory. There's an inference. You have to take an incredible leap of faith to go from somebody who has no prior history and is living with a gentleman who's committed this kind of conduct, and you go from there to killing him. She didn't shoot him 4 times. He wasn't running away. It's going to be a pretty good trick. As the court knows, the trajectory of the leg bullet was up. So how high do you want him to lift his leg as he's running away? Because she would have to be laying on the floor and shooting up to be able to get that bullet to go into his calf and out his knee. That's a real trick. I would suggest to the court, we have raised the legitimate issue of self-defense by virtue of that 9/11 call.
Is that the part you're talking about?
Yeah, he was so awkward.
Oh, maybe it's because it was sped up.
I thought it was very, very clear. Dr. Vega, I asked him,
Oh,
is
here.
this an accurate statement, Dr. Vega, that the pistol was facing Douglas Benefield when he was shot. Dr. Vega said, yes, that would be an accurate statement. No matter how much she wants to twist it, and I hope she stays with it because I think the jurors will punish her. The bullet may have gone in the side, but Dr. Vega
what the
said he was
fucking
facing
comment is
the
that?
pistol. She was firing in front of him. That's uncontradicted. Thank you.
All right, thank you both very much.
They're going to
I'm not aware
punish
of any
her.
recent changes in
Yeah.
the standard by which I'm to make my ruling on a judgment of acquittal. I think I heard the defense argue that no reasonable jury could find the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I know certainly the appellate courts talk about looking at cases in that light, and I believe that's the standard at the close of all evidence. But my understanding of a judgment of acquittal motion is I am to look at the facts in the light most favorable to the state, including any reasonable inferences therefrom, and decide whether the state has established a prima facie case. Am I mistaken?
No.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure. So, I think it is a very interesting and unique argument that the defense raised, and they very well could be right that the issue of self-defense can be established during the state's case in chief by a preponderance of the evidence. I don't find support in the law for that. And I think that my findings from earlier are bolstered when you consider at the judgment of acquittal, I'm not looking at any evidence that the defense has produced or any inferences on the defense evidence. I'm looking solely at the evidence presented by the state. I have to construe all facts and in the light most favorable to the state. Any reasonable inferences that can be drawn from those facts have to be inferred in favor of the state. And I'm only looking to see if they've established a prima facie case for the charge or charges alleged in the information. So as I look at the information that we all agreed is the operative pleading in this case from November 16th of 2020, the state has made a prima facie case, I think, based upon the facts that have been established. Again, looking at them in the light most favorable to the state, including the reasonable inferences, I do find that the state has established the elements of murder in the second degree prima facie. There's a prima facie case for the elements. So I will deny the judgment of acquittal. You're going to see Ms. Brown. I'm assuming you want to talk to her first and look through these emails before we address the Richardson. But that's
And
just
she
an
had to
assumption.
have known that was going to get denied.
There have been some developments with
Yeah,
the Richardson, you're
I'm
talking about the
sure.
Richardson issue based on the
I mean, yeah, who knows with her, you know?
Yeah. She
But-
had to have, I mean, there's no way that she could have thought, oh yeah, this is just going to get dismissed or
Right.
whatever. I'm going to be acquitted, So do they have to, because so they're charging her with second degree. Does second degree also, can't believe I don't know this.
It's second degree with a deadly weapon.
Okay. So does that also have to be
It
proven
was
beyond a
something
reasonable
different.
doubt? Or is it does it have to be reasonable with beyond reasonable doubt? Or is it it has to be one of those ones where,
Huh? They're always,
like,
what are you talking
with
about?
murder in the first degree has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. I know with manslaughter, it doesn't necessarily have to be beyond a reasonable doubt. It just has to be I don't know what the word is. I'm trying to think of what the wording is.
Yeah, he has to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay.
Part of me thinks that he causes all this confusion because he's trying. I don't know. He's weird.
Well, we know this. He's definitely.
Because I'm like, is he trying to just
weirdo.
confuse people? Let me look. Because
I
she
don't know if
was
he's trying to confuse people or if he's just confused.
she was originally charged with second degree murder, and then it was, where did it go? Let me look here. They changed it. Still had murder in the second degree there. Let me look. Okay, so in November of 2020, it was changed to Murder in the second degree will be amended to murder in the second degree with a firearm.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, when was this case first? The arrest warrant was issued November 4th, 2020. And it was changed. What did I say it was? November 16th?
Just 2023 or like more recently than that? I mean, for longer ago. Than that.
No, 2020.
Oh, 2020. Okay.
No, the original arrest warrant was issued on the 4th. It was changed to with a firearm on the 16th of November.
Gotcha.
So I was trying to see if he or she. Here is the. Let me see if it'll let me put it in a chat here. That work? Did it actually put it? I don't see my own chat. Did it go in there?
In public chat or
Yeah, on public chat. I don't see anything.
I don't see anything either.
What the hell? That was weird. It wouldn't let me type in the chat from the Streamlabs browser. I had to actually go in from. Even then, I don't see it.
It doesn't let me type in the chat in here either. In Streamlabs, like it says, sending messages is only supported for hosts.
Not public chat. Check if you put it in private chat.
No, it's definitely not in private chat.
That's. And then I went to. That's bizarre. What the hell? So let me mute YouTube and then I'll just go to my own stream. That's strange. Let me go to my own channel. Because I was going to put it in here for if anybody was trying to look. Did that work? Let's see. Hopefully that works. If it shows up like 3 times, then that's my fault.
I don't
Wait,
see it
where'd
at all.
go?
I don't see it.
I just saw it and then it went away. Okay, that's really strange. Fascinating.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
I got a thing from YouTube actually that said, where's the notification? It said, where's that? Known issue. YouTube is not working properly. It went to my studio, my YouTube studio. Are you there? Am I still live? That's very strange. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Anyways. Yeah, I don't know why that's not showing up. But nonetheless, it has been almost 3 hours. Um, I think that I'll call this the end for the stream because that ended up covering the whole day. Can't put it in YouTube app. Strange. No, I tried it from YouTube live from the studio. I opened up an entirely different tab and just went straight to YouTube. And I tried it on my phone. I tried it and I tried it through Streamlabs. I couldn't do it. But yeah, I don't know it says the known issue from YouTube. Update. If you've experienced issues on iOS earlier, this should no longer be happening. Please restart your app or browser before trying. Thank you for your patience. And originally it said if YouTube is not working properly for you, be aware and we are looking into what might be the issue. So that was 3 hours ago. So it could be unrelated. I just don't know why. But anyways, I'm gonna
Okay,
end
sorry,
this.
I missed that. What was that about three? Sorry, I got a phone call really quick. What was that about 3 hours ago?
Oh, no, you're fine. I had texted to you anyway, so you should have it. It was just
Okay.
about a YouTube issue.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I was just saying that I was gonna end the stream since that was the end of the day for that trial, so
right.
or for
So
day
tomorrow
3.
it picks back up, right, with the defense? No?
Yes, tomorrow is defense.
Okay.
So,
And I think it was, did I see somewhere that it was scheduled later tomorrow than it's been?
I need to go back to the end of the stream and,
Like, I think they said 9 AM instead of,
I mean,
I don't
that's
know. I know it's
doable. I
been
could
really,
always
really early because I know when I woke up at the butt crack of dawn not feeling good, like I was bored, so I put it on and it was really, really early here. So,
yeah, and they've been changing it, like, it's not a consistent time every day.
okay, okay. So it's supposed to be 9 tomorrow, I think, Eastern.
Okay. So, I mean, I've been watching it every day anyways, listening to it. Um,
Yeah, me too.
if,
I go back and listen. If I can't watch it live, like, I mean, I can't sit there and watch the whole
yeah,
thing all the time,
same.
but I'll go back and like look at the testimonies and stuff like that because I don't really need to see all the stupid sidebar bullshit.
Yeah, same. Um, but I like to be able to speed it up a little bit. So,
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's nice.
but I mean, even if I get a little late start in the morning, I mean, that would work okay too, because then I could speed it up a little bit in the beginning. So if I don't have anything, I might go live and play it. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know if we have anything planned. So I know that we have some birthdays coming up. So
For the weekend, you mean?
no, not this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, the birthday's not this weekend. We just have some birthdays to be celebrating.
Oh, gotcha.
Summer and early fall are generally birthday months.
Yeah, mine too. Everybody in my family is September. Everybody.
Or July, August, and October.
Yeah,
Or is
we're
like the
we're May
majority.
and
And then they're
September.
sporadically throughout. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we got
We're
yeah.
May and or not January, May and September are my family. Like literally everybody. I think I'm one of the only weirdos who's not May or September.
Yeah, we have May birthdays too. But like a good chunk of like the family birthdays are all just kind of in big chunks, you know,
Yeah.
rather than we've got some sprinkled here and there, but it's like, I don't know. Everybody decided to make babies around the same time, apparently.
Right. Oh
So,
my, I have a massive cat that's trying to walk on my keyboard. Go away. Go away.
if Kuma tried that, it'd be broken.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
So-
he's trying to walk on my laptop.
Oh,
It's like he's 18 pounds. He's not a small guy for a cat. And he's
yeah, that's
like,
a big
"Nope,
cat.
I'm going to sit here and just walk all over because you're not paying attention to me."
Right. So,
March is yours.
okay.
See, I'm the rando. Oh, look, I'm the 13th of March.
1, 4, 7, 8. Oh my goodness, that's a lot.
That's how we are with September. And I'm like the only rando in March. Everybody else is like literally, I think we have 1 June and 1 November. And literally everybody else is in September or May.
Yeah, that's a busy March. Actually, I think I remember in March when I think my husband, yes, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. I was talking to you right around then. Because I remember their birthdays.
That's mine.
And I always
13,
remember her
March
name because
13th.
we share the same name, so.
Yeah. Gotta love the March 13th. Friday the 13th. Woohoo.
And July is your birthday. July 4th. Oh, we have a July 4th as well.
July 4th.
And one of our dogs is July 4th. It's funny, the dog that hates fucking fireworks is July 4th.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's ironic.
Right?
That is actually
So-
really kind of funny.
Oh, William, you know,
Again,
how many times are you going to come back for more?
as many times as he's sober, not even sober, coherent, able to make a sock.
Right.
I mean, I would go worry about your wee willy somewhere else.
Yeah. Go buy you a nice pump there, buddy.
Right?
You're just about to.
You're just about to respond to him.
So,
Yeah, I made him go away.
well, I'm going to end this stream. Go and jerk yourself, William. Have a good night. And everybody else, thanks for being here. And sorry for the interruptions of small D's around here.
Right? Small D energy.
And small D energy. More than just small D energy.
Mm-hmm.
We got itty bitty buttons on
micro-
deck.
I was gonna say micropene energy.
Yeah. And if I can, I will come on tomorrow. So I'll see what our schedule's like.
Yeah. Well, have a good night,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yes, thank you guys. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.